Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
Got the wrong guy, and the dog was biting him.
He roughened him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
This is the next search on February 28, 2020, 7:44 p.m. How, does the FBI find people? The people's misspelled P-E-O-O-P-L-E.
What more do we need to see?
I object.
Did the defendant find out how the FBI finds people in this case? Oh, she found out.
All right, sorry about that. Welcome back to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict. I just have to, I ran to the post office and it started a chain of events that could not be stopped. Greeners, my friend, first in chat today. Congratulations. The internet is all yours. Please do with it as you wish, as long as you keep it running. That'll be great. I've been chillaxing a little bit. Now I've got to tell you what happened. I've got to tell you. And I have to say thank you very much to Nicole, Midlife Mania. Thank you very much for the gift that I got at the post office. Not your fault, Nicole. Not your fault. Just the thought was there. I appreciate that very much. Let me just tell you briefly. The gift was for the birds. The gift was for the birds. Literally, it was a little hanging bird feeder, which we're assembling right now, like kids are, and it came with some bird food. The bird food that it came with was a big bag of dried mealworms, which did not survive the shipment very well. The bag, boom. So my son got it from the post office, and he's like, "Dad, listen." And it's like, it sounds like rice is in there. Like there's a lot of it. There's a ton. And me not thinking clearly, we're in Mrs. R.A.'s car. What could go wrong? Here, open the box while we drive home from the post office. It'll be great. What could possibly happen? It happened. How do you get birds to go in the car to do cleanup? To do cleanup. Yeah. Apparently, I think the birds love it. I think they do. Let's see if I can. I think I can get you a live view of everything but the bird feeder. Let's see, where are we at? I need an IP address really quickly. That'll work. Copy. Cancel. And wait for it. Let me show you what's going on out in my world outside. Paste and go to my camera. Yes, open VLC. That'll be great. Hang on. We'll get this on screen for you in just a second, and then we're going to jump to court. Come on. Go big on this screen. There we go. Okay, so now there's absolutely nothing to see. I think my kids might be outside right now, but that's the view. We've got a little old bench. I think I'm allergic to mealworms. My neck is like swelling up. That's not good. All right, I think we have some birds out there. There's a squirrel in the bush. Oh, there's a bird right there. We found one. Zoom in on that bird right there. Zoom in. There's a little bird. He's out there eating some mealworms. We spread them out and about. There's another bird coming in for a look as well. I think this is a house wren. I think it's a house wren based on... He's very excited about whatever's out there. Whatever it is. I don't know where he went. Disappeared. Anyway. The squirrels did not like the worms as much, although we have put a few out on the bench along with some nuts. They looked it over and said, "Not for me. There are too many worms in this." So that's where we are. All right. I'm definitely allergic to something that touched my neck, and now it's like swelling up something fierce. There's a bird. The mockingjays came out right away, so. What kind of bird are these? House wrens? I think they're house wrens. All right, we'll keep an eye on the birds. I'll keep watching those while we go to work and go to court, which we need to do next. Because, let's see, let's just go here. There we go. Court has not begun yet, but it should be back any minute now. Sparrows, just little sparrows. Midnight Mania says, Ayden family, I'm so sorry for the mess. Do you need a new bag of worms? No, we're good. We're good. There's still a lot in the bag. And I hope you're not allergic. I think I'm allergic to a plant that was outside. Not the worms, because the worms didn't touch my neck, I don't think. But thank you very much. The kids are super excited about hanging up the bird feeder, though. And we'll see if we can get it up where we can watch the birds a little closer outside the window. Take some allergy meds. It's swelling on the outside, not my inside. It's not affecting my breathing at all. It's like a skin reaction. So. Yeah, the birds are going nuts over there. That's crazy. All right, where were we? Lawyer, has a case about Koberger. It's disturbing. Possible cause for case to be dismissed. Whoa. Be interested to see what that's about. All right. I thought we were going to begin at 1, and we're 10 minutes after. Court is not back yet for some reason. So we'll just sit tight for a little bit. All right. I need to use my phone to see what it looks like. I mean, it itches something crazy, like something bit me, but looking at the picture. Yeah, it's a skin reaction, that's all. I just might need to run and take a shower really quickly. I think it'd be fine. It would be my first shower during a live stream. No. I won't take you with me. That's oh, okay. There's my bird. There's my bird. There's my mockingbird. Do you see this? That's him. That's the guy. The extremely vocal one. It's a mockingbird. Trying to keep him centered on the screen. He runs. I think they're related to roadrunners. They can haul when they want to.
Because he's the guy.
He is the guy. Yeah, where'd he go? Oh, he's gone. He's over behind the house. I can't see anymore. So we'll go back to where we were. All right. I'm not showing you anything. Oh, you guys can't see that? Okay. I'm sorry. It was over here. There were little birds and stuff, but there was a mocking. Trust me, it was there. Just take my word for it. There was a mockingbird there. He's gone now, though. You can't see it anymore. All right. I'm mocking you all. If the mockingbird comes back on camera, I'll show you. Right now, it's just the little starlings or house wren. Not starlings, but the... I don't know. Just the little small brown chickadee. I call them chickadees, but I guess they're not that either. I guess I've been wrong about all the birds my entire life. There, okay, here we go. Mockingbird is back. Center up, zoom in. Let's see what he likes eating. You guys see him? Now he's gone. That was him. That was it. All right, this is not a yep, that is a mockingbird, says Red Pen. See, I got one right. This is not actually a live stream about animals. We're here for court, and it's about to begin right now, so let's listen.
Miss Stermer.
There's a cardinal.
On the record, in the case of People versus Linda Stermer, the jury is not present. The record should reflect I did meet with counsel during the lunch hour on the issue of Ms. Stermer being in jail in June of, on or about June of 2009.
Didn't defense bring that up?
I had ruled that the prosecution, and in favor of the prosecution, when they argued that the defense opened the door to Ms. Stermer's jail status back in June by focusing in the questioning on why Detective Maziowski would have waited so long to interview this Dordita Gordon. So I had ruled that that opened the door. On further reflection, I don't know how much it really did. I think the more important question is when he first got information that would cause him to interview Dordita Gordon. But in any way, we have the jailhouse snitch was brought up in the defense by their opening. We have this witness who's going to testify that she was in jail. So it's neither here nor there at this point. But parties and I have met, and I think everybody's in agreement with approaching this in the following way. I would give an initial instruction now when they come in that says you've heard testimony that Ms. Stermer was in jail on or about June 2009. The parties stipulate that she was in jail for this offense. You must not consider this as evidence of defendant's guilt. The fact that she was in jail must not impact your deliberations or verdict in any way. You may only consider Detective Maziowski's testimony regarding this to explain why he did the interview of Dordita Gordon when he did. And then there's a request to give the same instruction without the last sentence honing in on Detective Maziowski immediately prior to Dordita Gordon testifying. Is that correct, counsel?
I think that's
Yes, Your
a
Honor.
fair reflection of our conversation, Your Honor.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I'll do that. Any other matters to address then before we bring in the jury?
I have none, Your Honor.
Your Honor, could I just have 1 second?
The judge called it a jailhouse snitch.
You good, Mr. Kelly?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll bring in the jury.
Pragmatic, thank you very much. I'm super excited. Sounds like the company you worked for was really awesome and in line with what my son is playing with. So I realize the product you put off is the commercial off-the-shelf edition of that. My son's a little more crude in his setup. We just got him. I think it arrives today. NVIDIA Jetson to do some of the heavy lifting on that. Okay, I may open up a new channel that's just a bird channel live stream.
Welcome back from lunch, jury. I do have a legal instruction for you. before we proceed with witnesses. You have heard testimony that Ms. Stermer was in jail on or about June of 2009. The parties stipulate that she was in jail for this offense. You must not consider this as evidence of defendant's guilt. The fact that she was in jail must not impact your deliberations or verdict in any way. You may only consider Detective Maziowski's testimony regarding this to explain why he did the interview of Dardita Gordon when he did it. Counsel satisfied with that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Mueller satisfied, or Mr. Kelly satisfied?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Okay, you may call your next witness then.
Thank you, Your Honor. People call Gabrielle Rout.
Okay. You raise your hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Please have a seat, and when you're settled, we'll have you give us your full name and spell the last.
I don't know who this is. I don't think it's the jailed lady. Was it the snitch?
My name is Gabrielle, Gabrielle, and last Rout, Rought.
Thank you. Ms. Ayden.
Thank you. Detective Rout, were you employed on January 7th of 2007?
Yes, I was.
And what was your employment at that time?
Detective.
I was
that's
a
our
detective for the Van Buren County Sheriff's Office.
And how long did you work for the Van Buren County Sheriff's Department?
16 and a half years.
Are you currently still employed there?
No, I'm retired.
And on January 7th of 2007, did you receive a call regarding the Stermer residence and a fatal fire?
Yes, I did. I was home and received a call from my commanding officer, Lieutenant Stump.
And what did you do upon receiving that call?
I went to the residence. It was in Lawrence, and when I got there, I radioed him that I was there.
Do you recall approximately what time you arrived there?
I arrived a little bit after 5:30. I think it was actually 5:35.
And can you explain to the jury what you saw when you arrived there?
Jamie, congratulations.
When I arrived there was a long driveway that went to the west, and there was a police line tape that was across the driveway.
And did you cross that police line?
I did. After I spoke with my lieutenant, he advised me to go ahead and come back in. I drove just a short distance on the driveway where I parked.
And any issues driving on the driveway at that time?
No.
Do you recall how many other vehicles were in the driveway when you arrived there?
There were quite a few vehicles, but mostly I remember emergency vehicles, but they were closer to the residence.
Did it appear that any of those vehicles were stuck?
I wasn't close enough to see any of those vehicles. I was closer to the road.
And did you walk down the driveway then to the home?
No, I did not go to the home. I walked to where Lieutenant Stump and Lieutenant Lux were, and Deputy Evans, and I believe it was maybe somewhere in the front yard area, but it was closer to the road. It wasn't by the house.
And did you speak to any other law enforcement when you first arrived then?
No, just those three.
So you did speak then to Deputy Evans, Lieutenant Lux,
Lieutenant Lux and Lieutenant Stump.
And what did they ask you to do when you arrived?
Lieutenant Stump asked me to go and take pictures of Todd Stermer before the MEI completed the investigation or removed the body from the scene.
And when you say MEI, what does that stand for?
The medical examiner, investigator.
Would that have been Amy Darling?
Yes.
So did you take photos of the body?
I did.
And did you also take photos of the scene?
I did, but after speaking with Mrs. Stermer.
Can you describe then what you saw when you went to, can you describe Todd Stermer when you were taking pictures of him?
Well, the first picture he was covered with a tarp, but after those items were removed, I saw extreme burn injuries. Saw some skin slippage on his hands, and when he was rolled over on his side, I saw some lacerations on the back of his head and shoulder area.
And so you said he was covered with a tarp at that time.
Yes.
Was he alive at that point?
No.
Did you speak to the defendant on scene?
I did.
Do you recall approximately when that was?
It was about 6:25 in the evening.
So approximately an hour after you arrived?
Even a little less than an hour, but yes.
And what was your purpose of your questioning at that time of the defendant?
Well, my purpose was to just get preliminary information from her as to what happened. It was not an interrogation, and this was the scene of a fatal house fire where her husband just passed, so I was certainly trying to be sympathetic to what was just happened.
Where was she when you spoke to her?
Initially, I was told that she was seated in a red pickup truck, but actually I was directed to an ambulance where she was in the back of the ambulance.
Was anyone else with her in the ambulance?
Yes, a woman by the name of Gail Crandall.
And that's when you had the first opportunity to speak to her?
That's correct.
And did you confirm that she lived in that home with Todd Stermer?
Yes, I did.
And did you ask her who lived in the home with her?
I asked her if she had the number of children, and she told me she had 5, and she named her 3 boys, and then she named 2 girls from her previous relationship. And they did not live there.
When you say they did not live
the
there?
The girls.
Did you ask her to recall the events from that morning?
Yes, I did. I asked her if she could recall the events from the time she got up until the present time that I was there.
And did she tell you when she first got up?
She did. She said that she got up earlier than Todd that morning, and she estimated to be about 7 a.m.
And did she say when Todd woke up?
She did. She thought that he woke up at 10 a.m.
And did she say what condition Todd was in?
She did. She told me that Todd had been suffering from an ear infection and that he was taking medication for that. I asked her if she knew the type of medication, and she told me she didn't.
And did she say where Todd was?
She did. She said that Todd was in the living room snoozing on and off, watching TV.
Did she say what she did?
She said that she made breakfast for everybody, and she said it was eggs and breakfast sausage, smoky links, and coffee.
And did she talk about where her sons were at that time?
She said her 3 sons were home, but she had asked them not to bother or wake up their father.
Did she talk to you about any arguments that may have occurred?
She did. She said that they had had an earlier argument in the morning when they were in the kitchen. Asked her what the argument was about, and she said that she had told Todd that she used a debit card and that she didn't record the activity in her checkbook register, and she didn't transfer money from one account to another.
Did she tell you where she had sent the boys or where they went?
First before that, I asked her what she had purchased with the debit card, and she said that she had bought some prescriptions, some groceries, and a disposable camera. Yes, she did tell me that she had asked the boys, or told the boys they could go to the mall to hang out so that they wouldn't hear any further arguing.
And did she tell you what time the boys left that day?
I asked her what time she thought that was, and she thought that it was around 12 noon.
Did she say if there was any arguing between her and Todd Stermer after the boys left?
Oh, I asked her if any arguing occurred after the boys left, and she told me no.
Did she tell you what she did after the boys left?
She said she went outside to turn water on for her horses.
Did she say what Todd was doing at that time?
She did. She said that Todd was in the living room and he was starting to watch some hunting shows on television.
Did you ask her if there was a fire going in the fireplace?
I asked her if there was a fireplace in the living room, and she said yes, and that there was a fire going in the fireplace.
And did she tell you what she did when she came back into the home?
I asked her what she was doing when Todd was watching the hunting shows, and she said that she went to her bedroom and that she was reading a pamphlet on some acne medication that her son was taking, and she said she snoozed off as well.
That she snoozed off for a while?
Yes.
Did she tell you what happened when she got up?
She said when she got up that Todd had asked her for a drink of juice and that she gave him the juice, and she told me that he was in his recliner chair when...
Did she say where that recliner was?
In the living room.
Did she say what she did after she gave him juice?
She did. She said she went down to the basement and she was doing some laundry. She also told me that when she was down there, she had let her dogs out and had fed a cat and was straightening up a bathroom.
And did she say anything occurred when she then was downstairs doing laundry?
She did. She said when she was in doing laundry in the laundry room, she said she heard Todd yell there was a fire, and she ran to the stairs and up the stairs, and she saw fire and a lot of smoke in the living room.
Did she say if she saw Todd at that time?
She said she did not see Todd and that she could not get to a telephone.
And did she tell you what she did next?
She did. She said she got out of the residence and that she knew she needed to get some help, and she thought to go to her neighbor's house, Mike and Connie.
And did she tell you if she then did indeed leave the residence?
She did. She said she got in her van, which was parked in the driveway, and she said she heard a boom and saw Todd on fire in the side yard. I tried to clarify what side yard meant to her, and she told me it was the north side.
It's a different
Did she
story.
tell you how Todd got out of the home?
She said she didn't know how he got out of the home and that he was trying to shed his clothing.
Did she say if he was on fire at that time?
She said when she initially saw him with the boom and see him, he was on fire, but she also said that he was on fire and trying to shed his clothing.
And what did she do then after she saw that?
She said she got in her van and she tried to turn the van around, and she said she couldn't really remember what was going on.
And did she say then if she saw Todd after she was in her van?
She said she saw him and then she couldn't see him, and she said that she drove around the north side of her property, or north side of her house, to the back side or west side of the residence.
Did she say why she was doing that?
She did. She said that she was doing it to get help for Todd or to get Todd in the van.
She got him with the
And
van.
when she saw Todd was on fire, did you ask if she took any action?
Well, after she told me that she drove around the north side of the house to the back, she said at one point when she saw him on fire, she tried to get him to stop moving. So I tried to clarify this with her to see if she had gotten out of the van or if she had grabbed onto him. And she said she didn't think that she got out of the van, and she denied ever grabbing him.
Oh.
Did she say if she saw Todd when she was driving around to the basement area?
No, she said the time from driving around the north side of the property to the back side, she did not see Todd during this process.
Did she tell you at any point she got out of the van?
She did. She said she got out of her van and hollering or yelling, and she saw him again in the side yard, and that's when she said she ran over to him and she covered his body with herself.
And you said that he was in the side yard at that time?
That's correct.
And did she say where approximately in the side yard he was?
No, she just told me side yard.
And she said he was on the ground?
Yes.
Did she tell you what she was doing when she was then covering herself with him?
Well, she said that his face was burned and that he was gasping and she was trying to keep his mouth open.
And did she say if anyone else arrived?
She did. She said her neighbors Mike and Connie and a Mr. Masali got there. She doesn't know where or when they got there. They were just there.
And did she say if at that time when they arrived that Todd was still breathing?
She did. And she said that somebody threw something over the top of him. And from that point on, she didn't really remember a lot.
Did you ask her questions about how the fire may have started?
Well, I asked her if Todd was a smoker, and she told me that he smoked a pipe. I asked, actually, she clarified with me earlier in the interview. I had asked her if there was a fireplace in the living room, and she told me there was. She clarified with me that there were actually 2 fireplaces in the house, and that there was a fire going in the upstairs living room fireplace.
Did you ask her if there was any kerosene in the house?
I asked her if there was any, or I asked if where they kept their kerosene, thinking that they possibly had a kerosene heater or something like that. She said that they didn't have any kerosene that she was aware of.
And did you ask her about how they did heat the home?
I asked her about the fuel tank, and she said that they did heat their home with fuel oil and that it was professionally filled.
Did you ask her about any potential oil lamps or anything in the home?
No, she told me that there were 2 oil lamps, one in the living room and one in the dining room.
Did you ask her about what the arguments were about prior to the boys leaving?
I briefly asked her if there was a series of little arguments leading to a big one, and she said no, it was just typical relational argument. And she said that Todd was under a lot of pressure, that his business wasn't doing well, and they were just arguing over typical stuff. And she said that he was also angry with her that she had attended her grandmother's 90th birthday party the night before.
And at that time that you were talking to the defendant, did you have any knowledge about blood on the van?
No, I didn't.
Did she ever offer any information about running Todd over?
No.
And you didn't ask because you didn't have the information, is that correct?
That's correct.
Then did you obtain search warrants then for the van and for the residence?
Yes, I did.
Did you have any further involvement that day at the scene?
Yes, after that I took several photographs of the scene before my camera battery died.
And did you see the tire tracks in the yard?
I did.
And were they marked with flags at that time?
Yes, they were.
And could you tell where those tracks started and where they led to?
They appeared to be coming from a blood puddle area leading to where the van was parked behind the residence.
And you saw that after your interviews then with
Yes,
Mr.
actually, yes.
Were you back out to the residence then on January 8th of 2007?
Yes, along with Lieutenant Stump, we both were.
Anyone else present there when you were out there on January 8th?
Yes, the fire marshal, Sergeant Leroy, and there were members of the fire department.
Did you take pictures of the scene then on January 8th?
Yes, I did.
Content warning, I'm not sure what these pictures are going to show. She was there taking pictures when his body was on the ground. Looks like just a handful of pictures, 2 or 3. Somebody needs a thimble. Oh no, evidence. A label. Putting a label on it.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as People's Proposed Exhibit number 31.
Defense is taking their time.
I'm going to show you
chapped about
a series of pictures marked from 1 to 23, so there are a total of 23 pictures. If you could just flip through those pictures real quick and let me know if you recognize them.
Welcome to the gallery, Angela Angelo.
This
The
is
Orange
31,
Courthouse.
Your Honor. And then there will be 23 pictures included with 31, all then marked in the bottom right-hand corner like our previous photos.
This witness either has a great memory or she just recently reviewed her testimony or her reports. These different versions of events that she told right after it happening are problematic, especially with her saying, I went upstairs and saw him on fire, or I tried to go upstairs but there was too much fire, I couldn't see him. Now she says, I went outside to go drive somewhere.
And do you
in my car.
recognize those?
I do.
And why do you recognize them?
I took these pictures.
And those were the ones taken on January 8th of 2007?
That's correct.
Altered or changed in any way?
They don't appear to be.
Your Honor, I'd move for for the admission of People's Exhibit number 31 into evidence at this time.
No objection.
I'm going to keep permission to publish. I'm going to keep them in front of you, and I'm going to then put them on the screen and just have you describe for the jury what we're looking at. So this is picture number 1. Can you tell the jury what we're looking at?
This is a picture of County Road 275, I believe that was, 215, sorry, County Road 215, and I'm facing north. And then I'm just going to be just a little bit north of the driveway of their residence.
So this is the road out in front of the house, is that correct?
That's correct.
And I'm going to advance then to the second slide. What are we looking at here?
I'm still standing on the road, but right at the apron of the driveway, facing north.
You can see water on the ground.
And
snow.
when you say the driveway, you mean the Stermer driveway?
That's correct.
And that would be on the left of the photo?
Yes, going west.
Next
I'm
picture
going to go then
should
to
turn
the
90
third
degrees.
photo. What are we
She
looking
does.
at here?
This is looking west down the driveway, the Stermer residence. So you can see the address 66598 on the wooden post at the end of the driveway.
And I am going to advance now to photograph number 4. What are we looking at here?
That's just a closer view of the address at the end of the driveway.
And I'm going to advance then to slide 5. What are we looking at here?
This is the driveway as I'm proceeding closer to the residence, still facing west.
So this is you are going down the driveway and you are taking pictures?
That's correct.
I'm going to go then to slide number 6. What are we looking at here?
Again, the driveway, just getting closer to the residence.
And you mentioned that others were on scene. Is there any evidence in this picture then of others being on scene?
Yes, several vehicles, plus I see the fire truck.
And again, this was the day after the fire.
Correct.
I'm going to advance then to slide number 7. What are we looking at here?
Again, getting closer to the residence, still facing west on the driveway, closer to the fire truck and the other vehicles there.
I'm going to advance to then slide number 8. What are we looking at here?
This is the front of the house. It faces east. You can see several fire department personnel there.
I'm going to advance then to slide 9. What are we looking at here?
Again, a closer view of the front of the residence or east side of the residence.
I'm going to advance now to number 10. And what are we looking at here?
This is a picture of the, it would be the northeast corner of the residence.
So just to be clear, for those of us who are directionally challenged, the front door.
The front door would be on the
On our left.
Yes.
To the left?
Yes, to the left.
And that would be then, my pointer is covering the overhang then to the front door?
That's correct.
And it would be then walking around to the right-hand side of the house?
That's correct.
And I'm going to
That's a lot of
advance then
damage.
to slide number 10. And what are we looking at here?
This is the north side of the house. And you can see that the grade of the lawn appears that it's going to a walkout level to the back.
And I'm going to stop you to the left on the home. Do you know what this is? It would be kind of a brown area on the house.
Yeah, it appears that that was a service door, and the other one appears that it was some type of a slider door, but there weren't. It didn't appear that there were any finished decks or any way to go out. It didn't appear that they were using them actually.
So there were no improved decks coming off of those doors.
That's what it looked like to me.
And then I'm going to advance to slide 12. What are we looking at here?
Okay, so this is going to be as I'm walking around the house again. So this is still the north side of the house, but probably it's the northwest side of the house.
So if I'm looking at the front of the house, it's on the right-hand side, but the back corner of the house, is that correct?
That's correct.
So you're still just walking around the home?
I'm walking around the home, yep.
And I'm going to advance this to then slide 13, and what are you looking at here?
This is the back side of the residence, the west side, and you can see that the lower level is the walkout level or basement, and then the upper level is the main floor level.
And I'm going to advance now to slide 14, and what are we looking at here?
This would be the southwest corner of the building or the house.
So are we still looking at the back of the house here?
That's correct.
Are you walking up to then the other side of the house?
That's correct.
Which if you're in the front of the house, this would be the left-hand side of the house.
That's correct.
I'm going to go ahead and go to number 15. What are we looking at here?
That would be the south side of the residence.
So again, if I'm in the front, looking at the front of the house, it'd be to the left.
That's correct.
And I'm going to advance now to slide 16. What are we looking at here?
This is the backyard, and I'm facing north. And you can see some evidence flags on the ground.
And do you know what those evidence flags were depicting from the day before?
Yes, they were marking where the van had parked.
And that's where you saw the van parked the night before?
That's correct.
We're going to advance now to 17, and what are we looking at here?
Again, the backyard facing north with the evidence flags indicating where the van was parked.
So the back of the home would be to the right-hand side of this picture, is that correct?
The back of the home would be to the right-hand side, yes.
I'm going to advance then to slide 18. What are we looking at here?
Again, evidence markers, back side of the home as well. Depicting where the van was parked.
So, and this is where you saw the van parked the day before?
Yes.
And can you tell specifically then what those are marking?
I believe that they are marking where the tire tracks were.
I'm going to advance now to slide 19. What are we looking at here?
Again, this is the back side of the residence. I'm facing east now.
And are you looking at the back of the home here?
That's correct.
And again, the same evidence flags?
Yes.
I'm going to advance now to slide 20. What are we looking at here?
Well, it was like a lean-to horse barn area. Again, that was in the back side of the residence.
When you're looking at the residence, was this lean-to on the left or the right?
Say that again.
If I'm looking at the front of the residence, was this lean-to on the left or the right?
That's a
The
shipping
lean-to would have been
container.
on the right.
Shipping container
On the
is the main
right-hand
structure.
side?
I believe so. Hey, I don't understand your question.
So when you were walking around the home,
Okay.
if you're in the backyard,
Yes,
where would this be in relation to the tire tracks that you saw?
to the right.
To the right corner?
I believe so.
Would it help refresh your memory if I showed you a report
She's clearly getting it wrong.
on where that is located?
The
Sure.
answer is yes. I think it's a bad question. She's not saying based on where they are from the tire tracks. You have to know where you are in relation to the house on the tire tracks. Which way you're facing. Everyone jealous of the prosecution laptop with all the icons used up, all that space? Pretty impressive. Needs a bigger screen. Everyone's out honking.
Okay.
That may be confusing in terms of my questioning.
Okay.
Do you know what direction this shed was? Or this particular lean-to? Like in what corner of the property?
I believe it was on the southwest corner of the property.
On the southwest corner. So
Yes.
Did I confuse you with my back and front?
I think so.
So this would be on the southwest corner of the property?
Yes, as I'm walking around, yes.
Okay. And I'm going to advance this now to 21. What are we looking at here?
It looks like a horse trough and pen for the horses and the lean-to.
So this is the same lean-to that's in the other photo?
Yes.
Just the other side of it?
Yes.
I'm going to advance then to 22. What are we looking at here?
This is back out in the front of the house, and there was a gas can to the south of the porch and east of the residence, and that's a picture of that.
And so I just want to be clear what we're all looking at. Are you looking at this item here in the front yard?
Yes.
And you had a chance to examine what that was?
Yes.
And you said it was a?
Gas can.
I'm going to advance then to 22. What is this?
This is a closer picture of the gas can, and there appears to be like a nozzle there.
I'm going to advance then. I'm sorry, that is the bulk of the pictures. After these 2 days that you were on scene, what was your involvement in this investigation then, at that time?
Well, we continued with if any witnesses came forward. I got people that called into the sheriff's department. I would follow up on any leads. Continued to support Detective Maziowski, and if he needed anything, I would follow up on anything with him. And we continue to wait for laboratory reports to come back, and I wrote some search warrants also.
Did you participate with an interview with Ms. Kate Fox on May 17th of 2007?
Yes, myself and Lieutenant Stump, we both did.
And do you recall where that interview was took place?
Yes, that was at her workplace.
And were you able to then speak to Ms. Fox at that day?
Yes, we did.
And did you talk to Ms. Fox about any of the details of this case or anything, any knowledge you had of this case before you did your interview?
No.
Was your interview to gain information from her of what she knew?
Yes.
I have no further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. Please have just a second.
Good afternoon, Ms. Rouse.
Good afternoon.
I would like to quickly go to the photo that you identified of a gas can that you stated that was on the premise when you arrived.
On the second day when I arrived.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yes. And I believe that's number 22 of the photos that you have. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if we could zoom in just a little bit on the gas can. Yes. Now, you took that photo?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Now, on January the 7th, when you arrived at the location, did you see that gas can in the front of the house then?
No, I did not.
Did not?
No.
Okay. Can you explain to me or to the jury what you did see on the front of the house when you first arrived on January the 7th?
I didn't, well, when I first arrived on January the 7th, got there and spoke to my lieutenant, and I didn't even go to the front of the house. I didn't even go near the house.
Okay.
I went and took pictures of Mr. Stermer, and I spoke with Mrs. Stermer. After that is when I went to the house, and I don't even believe I even walked around the full circle of the house.
See, you say you did go to the house. Did you go to the front of the house, though?
No, I went to the north side and the back side.
So you never went to the front of the house on January the 7th?
I don't believe so. And it was dark. I didn't.
Okay. So what time did you arrive back at the house on January the 8th?
It would have been shortly after 9 a.m.
In the morning?
Yes.
Do you know whether or not your department had secured the property as a investigation?
Yes.
Had it been taped off?
It had been taped off, but reserve officers posted.
I didn't understand your answer.
Reserve officers posted, standing guard, protecting the scene.
So you're saying that there were individuals that was posted over the night?
Yes.
They were there when you arrived back on January the 8th?
I don't know if I saw them when I was there, when I came back.
Well, did you see anyone there when you arrived back on January the 8th?
When we got there, the fire department was there and the fire marshal was there.
On January the 8th?
That's correct.
Okay. Do you know if anyone else had reference to you this gas can that was in the front of the yard?
Nobody referenced it. This is the first time I saw it when I took this picture.
Okay. And that wasn't the only gas can that you saw on the premises, right?
Right.
Okay. Could you tell us where the other gas cans were that you saw on the premises?
The other gas cans, fuel cans, multiple different colored fuel cans, were all in a shed-type building behind the house, all put away.
Will you call them fuel cans or are you calling them gas cans?
Well, there were blue ones and there were red ones.
Okay.
I don't know. Gas cans.
Gas cans.
Blue and red.
So would it be fair to say that there were multiple gas cans that was on the premises, right?
Yes. The other ones were all in a little structure shed building.
But you took pictures of them, right?
I did.
And the pictures that you took was part of your total investigation, is that correct?
I was taking pictures as I was walking around the house, yes.
Yes. And did you submit all of the gas cans for any type of forensic analysis?
No, I did not.
Why not?
This gas can was different than the other ones as it wasn't put away and it was laying out in the yard, and that was the one that Detective Leroy, the fire marshal, took with him.
So in other words, you was instructed by the state fire marshal about that can?
No, when I found that can, I didn't take it off the property. Scott Leroy, or the fire marshal, was there on the property, and he said that he would take it at a later time, and did.
At a later time?
Yeah, he didn't take it when I was there.
What was the condition of the can when you saw it?
Just exactly.
Did it have mud on it?
I didn't even pick it up. It was just exactly the way it was on the ground.
Picture's best evidence.
Did you not? You say you didn't pick it up?
No, it was seized as part of the search warrant and recorded on a tabulation, but Detective Leroy took the can from the scene. I didn't package it, I didn't take it.
But when you came back on the 8th...
This is when it is, yes.
Yeah, but you had a search warrant, right?
Yes.
And the search warrant was for you to seize certain items on the property, right?
Yes.
As part of a probable cause investigation, right?
Yes.
But instead of you seizing it, you let somebody else remove it.
I would say we both said it was going to be seized, and I recorded it on my tabulation, but Detective Leroy said he would package it and take it with him to the laboratory.
So
this
your report stated that as part of the items that you seized, that would be incorrect.
Well, it was part of my search warrant. We seized it, but he transported it from that scene to the laboratory.
It never was recorded with the property of the chain of custody with the Van Buren County Sheriff's Office, right?
Yes, I believe it was.
It was recorded.
Yes.
But not taken.
Right, correct.
Is that a standard procedure that you had at that time with the Sheriff's Office in reference to the chain of custody of items when you have a search warrant that's detailed in reference to what search warrant is for?
Correct. Well, we both seized it, but he removed it from the scene and took it with him.
Mr. Leroy didn't have a search warrant, did he?
No, I did.
Yeah. And you never saw the gas can again?
Not after he took it, no.
You don't know whether or not there was any gas in the can at all, do you?
No, I do not.
And you stated that you didn't seize any of the other gas cans? You just took pictures of them?
That's correct.
Now, when you arrived on the 7th, you actually received a call from Detective Stump, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And when you first arrived, did you get directions from Detective Stump as to what your duties or your assignment was to be?
Yes, I did.
And was your first duty or your first assignment to take pictures of Mr. Stermer, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. When you approached the location where Mr. Stermer was there anyone else there with Mr. Stermer's body?
I believe the medical examiner investigator was, and I'm sure there were, I just don't remember. Possibly Deputy Evans.
The medical examiner investigator was there, and Detective and Deputy Evans, right?
Yes.
Okay. Was Mr. Scott Leroy there?
I don't recall if he was, but he may have been. I just don't recall.
Okay. Do you recall anyone removing anything off of the body of Mr. Stermer?
When I was taking my pictures, items were being lifted away so I could take pictures. I don't recall anybody removing anything from him when I was there, no.
You know, what items, you said items was being removed.
So when I got there to take the pictures, he was covered with a tarp, and then things were peeled back so I could take pictures.
Okay. So that gives me my next question. Did you take a picture of Mr. Stermer exactly as the body lay when you arrived?
I did.
With all the items that was on top of it?
I did.
You do?
I did.
You did?
Yes.
And you submitted that picture to?
Yes, it was the first one with the tarp, the blue tarp.
The blue tarp?
That's how I remember, correct.
Okay. And on the blue tarp, was there some other clothing on top of him?
Yes.
Okay. And that picture was provided to the district attorney's office as part of your investigation?
All my pictures were turned in to the prosecutor.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
It's acting like you didn't get that picture.
And so upon
You have a missing photo?
After you completed your pictures, what did you do then?
Well, I went and put my camera away, and then I was told that Miss Stermer was in a red pickup truck, and turns out that she was in an ambulance, and that's when I spoke with her.
Okay.
Red truck, ambulance, that works. Checks out.
And do you recall who else was in the ambulance with Miss Stermer?
Yes, a woman named Gail Crandall was in the ambulance with her.
Okay. Did you take any pictures of Miss Stermer?
No, I did not.
You did not?
No.
Okay. Well, what did you do when you approached the ambulance and Miss Stermer was in there with Miss Crandall?
I stepped in and introduced myself and started asking the questions that we just talked about.
What questions did you ask?
I started off by asking her for telephone numbers. I asked her about her children, how many, and she told me that. And then I just went into asking her to tell me if she could, from the time she got up in the morning to the time that we were there, of what happened.
So was your interview considered to be an investigation for the cause of the fire?
No, this was just a preliminary information from Ms. Stermer of what may have happened. This wasn't an interrogation. It was just some preliminary information from her as to what happened.
Okay. But at some point, you had Mr. Stermer to provide you her clothes. Isn't that correct?
No, that's not correct.
You didn't?
No, I did not.
Were you at the ambulance when she removed her clothes?
No, she never removed her clothes.
Changed clothes?
Never. No.
Are people confused?
So what else did you do when you asked her about what had happened that day, what her activities had been that day?
I don't understand your question.
Well, you asked her about what she had done that morning, right?
I asked her to tell me the events of the day starting when she got up till the present time. She started offering me that she got up before Todd. She estimated that to be about 7 a.m. And she continued telling me information.
Well, were you in the ambulance when Miss Stermer changed clothes?
No. No.
You didn't have a conversation with Miss Crandall?
No. I had when I interviewed Miss Crandall, I asked Miss Crandall what happened to her clothes.
You asked Ms. Crandall what happened to her clothes?
Yes, I believe I asked her in the interview if she remembered what happened to Miss Stermer's clothes.
Why would you ask that question?
Because I didn't have them, I never took them, and I was wondering if she knew who took them.
But why did you engage in a conversation about who took Ms. Stermer's clothes?
Because it appeared that nobody actually knew who had her clothes before Sergeant Franks got them.
This is why.
So now you know that somebody had her clothes.
Somebody had her clothes at one point.
You said Sergeant Franks.
Sergeant Franks is who I was told had her clothes, but somebody gave them to him, and I don't know who that is.
Who told you that?
That was part of the investigation way back when.
Well, you prepared an incident report right after your appearance on the Stermer property on January the 7th. Do you recall preparing an incident report?
Yes.
May I approach you on it?
One of the challenges of having a case this old, a lot of people's memories get foggy.
I'd like to show you, see if you can refresh your memory in reference to that report that's dated January 7th, 2007. Is that?
Yeah, what part?
Well, do you recognize the report?
Yes.
The whole report?
Yes.
Okay. So, in your report, there's no reference to you talking to Ms. Stermer in the ambulance, right?
There are two reports there. This is the first one.
One is dated January the 7th. The other one is dated January the 8th, right?
No, the other one is dated January 7th as well.
Okay.
This is just the initial when I briefed and took the photographs.
But it's the incident report, right?
That's correct.
And the incident report references to individuals that you either took instructions from other officers or individuals that you had communications with, right?
That's correct.
And as part of your investigation, you were considered to be, at that time, you were a detective, right?
That's correct.
And you and Detective Maciowski became the lead investigators for the Van Buren County Sheriff's Office in reference to this case. Is that correct?
Actually, Detective Maciowski was in charge of the case.
And what was your position in the case?
I was a detective and I assisted him when necessary.
But on that date, you was considered a detective, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And so my point was that you never referenced to the conversations that you had with Ms. Stermer in that report, right?
Not in this first report.
Did you have another report that you prepared for January the 7th?
Yes.
Have you reviewed that report?
Yes.
Prior to your testimony here today?
Yes.
When?
It was given to me in a packet from the prosecutor.
Today?
No.
Would that report have the conversations that you had with Ms. Stermer?
Yes.
Okay. And that report, would it have who seized her clothes and what happened to her clothes?
Not in that report. It would have been probably when I went to on the 8th is when I would have had the reference that the individuals that took the clothing.
Now, Miss Rout, after you finished your investigation at the Stermer property on January the 7th, what did you begin to start doing in reference to your activities concerning this case?
What did you begin to start doing?
Like I said, individuals were calling into the Sheriff's Department with information. When they did, I would contact them and interview them as part of any relevancy to the case.
Okay. So, would it be fair to say that this case turned into an information gathering by calls being made to your office?
I wouldn't say that would be fair to say that. We had lab reports that we were waiting on. We developed individuals to talk to. Some people did call in with information, that's correct.
Would it friends that knew the Stermers, did they contact you?
Well, I believe, we did get some that were friends of the Stermers that contacted us.
And did you investigate information that they provided to you?
Yes.
And so did you make reports on individuals that you received information from that you tried to verify or corroborate?
Yes.
Did some of that information seem kind of wild to you? Well,
Hear you.
I'll rephrase it, Judge.
Okay.
Sorry. In reference to some of the information that you received, did some of it seem kind of far-fetched as it relates to...
How's that better?
I'm just asking her.
I'll allow it. Overruled.
Oh, man.
Well, when anybody gives us information, whether it seems far-fetched or not, we try to find the relevancy or accuracy in that.
Okay. And in trying to find out the accuracy of that information, you would go out and try to corroborate it with other individuals, right?
That's correct.
But you also would keep it as part of your report, right?
That's correct.
So, do you recall interviewing a Jeremiah Moyer?
Yes.
Do you know where you interviewed him at?
I couldn't say for certainty 18 years ago, but
I'm guessing it was not in the ambulance. Why do I have Black Betty in my head now?
May I approach you, Honor?
The song.
I'd like to show you, see if you can refresh your memory on this report.
Bambalam. There it is. The ambulance.
Yes.
That's it.
You can?
yes.
And did you try to corroborate the information that was provided to you in that report?
Yes, he's the one who actually called the sheriff's department, and then I went to his residence and talked to him.
I've already got corroborate from him.
What did you find out?
Objection, Your Honor. This is all going to be hearsay.
Your Honor, it's a report.
It's still hearsay.
Is that your response, that it's the police report?
Yes. Is this your report?
Okay.
Yes.
You
Okay,
Then,
police report
then
kept
I'll
in the
sustain
normal order
the
of business.
objection as to hearsay if that's
Thank you,
your
Your Honor.
response.
Did you also interview a Serena Moyer?
Yes.
Okay. Did either one of these individuals provide you with information that was corroborated in reference to Miss Linda Stermer causing a fire?
No.
Okay.
He went from corroborate to corroborated. Sounds like carbureted, huh?
Do you recall interviewing a Kelly Stermer?
By telephone.
Okay. And nothing in the interview that you had with Miss Kelly Stermer corroborated any information about Miss Linda Stermer causing a fire, right?
He's saying carbureted now. Carbureted.
Do you recall interviewing an individual by the name of Dean Joseph White?
He again called the sheriff's department, correct.
And you had a rather lengthy conversation with that individual, right?
He called, and actually it was transcribed, yes.
His interview was transcribed over the phone?
It was recorded on the phone, and then that was transcribed.
Okay. And nothing in reference to that interview had anything to do with Miss Stermer causing a fire, right?
Just looking
Nothing.
at the
I'm going to stop at this point. These are not witnesses in this trial. I don't know if we're going to go through the entire 2 years of everybody that was interviewed. I don't see how they're relevant.
Your Honor, this is part of the investigation in reference to this case, and we had requested the discovery of all police reports that was provided.
Object, Your Honor. I'm going to say it's outside the scope of direct.
Okay.
Your Honor, this
How
is...
many of these?
Oh, and I also think that we need to have this conversation outside the presence of the jury if we're going to continue it.
Okay. How many of these names, how many are there that I've...
Two more.
Okay, I'll allow if it's only two more.
people are hearing their name in court. They had no idea they would be mentioned, but here goes.
I was waiting on the answer to
And what was the question again?
Dean Joseph White.
Yes.
The information you obtained from that individual was not corroborated to establish any evidence that Ms. Stermer caused the fire, right?
No, he just told me of threats.
Tell us more about the threats. Now I want to know.
And you stated that you received a call from a Kate Fox. Is that correct?
No, I did not receive a call from Kate Fox.
Did you interview a Kate Fox?
I did, as a result of another interview.
As a result of what?
Another interview.
What interview was that?
I received a call from a Kathy Ilge.
Kathy Ilge?
That's correct.
She told you to call Kate Fox?
Your Honor, it's hearsay.
How did you wind up contacting Kate Fox?
From the information that Kathy Ilge told me.
Okay. And did you do a formal interview with Kate Fox?
At her workplace with Lieutenant Stump.
We are definitely
At her
down.
workplace?
Or up
That's
over
correct.
here.
And were you able to corroborate any information that Kate Fox provided to you?
Yes,
Yes.
I did corroborate some of the stuff she told me, yes.
What were you able to corroborate?
Information about a post office box, information about an individual.
And what else?
Your Honor, again, we're going into hearsay. If he wants to ask generic or the things she followed up on, I think that would be appropriate, but to actually ask about the specifics, we're getting into hearsay.
I think he's asking about what she did to follow up on what information she received. Is that what you're...
Right.
Okay, maybe just ask it like that.
So did you receive information and followed up on that information you received from Kate Fox?
Yes.
Okay.
Half a dozen subpoenas are going out tonight from the defense.
And did you participate in any interviews of other individuals that were housed in the Van Buren County Jail?
I believe I did. Which ones, I don't remember. Sergeant Maziowski or Detective Maziowski, they were his interviews. I recall sitting in on some of them. I don't think I sat in on all of them.
Can I have just a second, Judge?
These questionings are going crazy. Linda's pretty involved here. Tapping the paper, tapping the name. She wants a specific piece of information pursued, it looks like. If he says no more questions, Linda's going to be peeved.
Now, you just want to go back one question, this route. When you interviewed Miss Stermer, was she, in your opinion, in a state of shock?
I wouldn't say she was in shock. She did cry on and off during our interview, yes.
Okay. When you interviewed Kate Fox, you said you interviewed her at her work?
Yes, with Lieutenant Stone.
Okay. Did you obtain any type of documents that was provided to you from Kate Fox in reference to Ms. Stermer?
Did I obtain any documents?
Yes.
Probably after a month after speaking to Kate Fox, I did some search warrants, yes.
Okay. And what was those search warrants for?
Those are search warrants of phone records.
Okay. Was there any other search warrants that you issued, that you sought?
Probably periodically through the next several months and probably even the next year.
Okay. For the next year?
I believe there were some subpoenas that the prosecutor's office asked us to
serve
for phone records, yes.
Okay. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
right. After that wild goose chase, where do we go? Defense says no further questions, but they might have a couple more here. He has one more question.
Did Ms. Stermer tell you that she heard a loud scream when you were interviewing her in reference to Mr. Stermer?
When she was in the laundry room, she heard Mr. Stermer yell there was a fire. That's what she told me.
Okay. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, quick. What kind of bird is this?
Just quickly, Your Honor. Is it common for law enforcement agencies to work together on an investigation?
Absolutely.
And is it common to then work with the fire investigator and the state police then on investigations?
Absolutely.
And you share information?
Yes, we do.
And I just want to clarify, Ms. Stermer did not remove any of her clothing in your presence.
No, she did not.
You were not part of that.
No, I was not.
And did you provide multiple reports as part of the overall report during this investigation?
Yes, I did.
What are they called? Supplemental reports?
That's correct.
And you would have had several supplemental reports?
Absolutely.
Documenting everything that you just went over on the stand?
Absolutely.
And out of the people that defense counsel asked you about, there were several names. Were any of those individuals, were you able to determine if any of those individuals were present at the scene?
None of them were present at the scene.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as People's Proposed Exhibit number 32. Do you recognize this photo?
Yes, I do.
And why do you recognize that photo?
This is the way the body was when I arrived on scene.
Changed or altered in any way?
No.
Your Honor, people would move to admit People's Exhibit number 32 into evidence at this time.
No objections, Your Honor.
Permission to publish? I'm sorry.
We'll receive it and you may publish it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I don't think we're going to see this one, but heads up if we do.
Oh, you don't know that?
He doesn't have it ready. What do you mean you don't have it? Throw it on the Elmo.
Your Honor, just so that we don't bring up anything that has not been admitted, I'm just going to pass this around to the jury. Thank you. And can you just describe, as I'm getting ready to pass this around to the jury, what that picture is a picture of?
That was the position of the body when I arrived on scene and asked to take pictures that I was talking about, the blue covering tarp.
So that was exactly then the picture you were describing in your testimony with defense counsel?
That's correct.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Jury, questions? Any questions of this witness? I've got a couple.
Okay, we got a few questions coming in. That's good. This is a great witness to ask questions of because she has a fantastic memory, either from reviewing her report or just photographic memory from 18 years ago. You say it's a grackle? It's definitely not a. It's definitely not a starling because it's got too long of a tail. And it's eating the corn. Not only the squirrels were eating the corn, but he's going to town on it. So, do you get chickens? I did not get chickens yet. So the local school had a field trip, and they walked by my house, and the police blocked off the roads while they walked by. My kids had a skateboard thing out by the road. And like every kid was like eyeing it and looking at the house. I kid you not. I'm like, hey, you're on camera. I don't care if you're second grade. If you grab that from my kid and try to steal that, I am so putting you on the live stream. So we'll have a record of it. We do get starlings. Starlings are the only bird I typically shoot with a pellet gun. And I only shoot the ones that are nesting in the eaves of my house. They're terrible. Terrible. North Carolina has a law called a red-handed law where if you catch wildlife destroying your property or crops, it's legal to shoot it. And checking with the police, they say, yeah, it's fine. Just make sure you don't miss and hit something else. So starlings and I don't get along. That's not a starling. Starlings have like really short tails.
Counsel, on the day of the fire, were you in a position to observe if the gas can was in the location that you saw it on the night?
Yes.
I think, was that the 8th of the night?
It would have been the 8th.
The day after. Were you in a position, on the day of the fire, were you in a position to observe if it was in that location you saw it when you went back on?
I did not see the gas can on the night that January 7th that I was there. I saw it the next morning when I was there on the 8th.
Are you saying it wasn't there?
When you asked Linda Stermer about phone numbers, did she give you a landline phone number?
She gave me a landline house phone number and a cell phone number.
Okay. Counsel, any questions in light of those questions and answers? No. Jury, any other questions in light of those? No. May she be excused from her subpoena, counsel?
I would ask that she please be excused, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you. You're all done, and you're excused from your subpoena.
You did well. Great witness today.
Thank you, Your Honor. People call Patty Calhoun to the stand, please.
Guess who this is? Guess who this is? This is our girl who spent the night in a hotel after she spent the weekend in the jail. Failed the meth test.
Before you have a seat, I'll have you raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay, thank you. I'll have you have a seat. Ma'am, if you could maybe hand me those 2 documents. Those were for another witness, I think. You want those back? Okay, are those exhibits? Okay. Thank you.
She's
Ms.
terrified.
Calhoun, if you could tell us your full name and spell your last, please.
Sure, it's Connie Lynn Calhoun, Calhoun.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Calhoun, do you recall where you were living in January 7th of 2007?
Yes.
And where were you living?
County Road 215.
And who did you live with at that time?
Michael Matheny.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Michael Matheny.
And you 2 lived together in the home?
Yes.
And do you recall what you were doing that day?
Which day?
On January 7th of 2007?
Yes. Mike and I were going bowling. We went bowling.
Did you usually go bowling on Sundays?
Yeah, every Sunday. Do
you recall what time you guys used to go bowling?
No.
Is that a regular occurrence on a Sunday afternoon for you?
It was in the afternoon.
Pardon me?
It was in the afternoon.
And where was your residence in relation to Todd and Linda Stermer's residence?
We were after their residence, so I guess that would be south.
Did your property lines touch?
Yes.
So you were neighbors?
We were.
So tell me what happened when you left to go bowling that day.
Mike and I were pulling out of our driveway, and we could see smoke. It looked like smoke coming from the Stermer's house.
So you saw that from your driveway?
Yes.
And once you saw that smoke, what did you do?
We immediately went over there to pull. We left our driveway, went onto the County Road 215, and then went into their driveway.
So you pulled into the Stermer driveway?
Yes.
And what did you see when you pulled into the Stermer driveway?
Linda Stermer's van, the house, looked like it was on fire.
And do you recall where the van was positioned when you saw it?
I don't.
Do you recall how close it was to the house?
Not really.
Was it in the driveway?
I mean, I don't know. I guess it's hard to explain because how our driveways were. We pretty much like made our paths ourselves. So, I mean, it was. I mean, it was in the path that you would take, but it's not like a paved driveway. It's like a dirt driveway.
So it was on the dirt driveway?
I believe so.
And was that the dirt driveway leading out to County Road 215?
Yes.
And so you're pulling down the driveway. What was her van doing?
I don't really recall.
But you remember seeing it in front of the house?
I do.
And as you went down the driveway, what did you see the van do?
Linda's van, it's been so long, it's hard to really remember details. I just remember the van going around the back of the house. At what point, I can't really remember.
We have a problem.
And do you recall testifying under oath on this in a previous hearing?
You know, it's been a long time, so there's a lot of things that's happened since then, so it's hard to say.
Do you remember testifying?
I do remember testifying.
And if I showed you your prior testimony, would it help refresh your memory?
Sure, yes.
Okay, there we go. They need her because she's one of the first people to see the van. Basically, they saw her
testimony.
line up the run and gun it.
I'm going to have you take a look at this, the bottom of this page, which would be page 72, as well as on the top page of 73. Could you read through that, and when you're done, if you could just then look up when you're done reading through that?
Do please be kind to the witness.
Does that help refresh your memory?
Okay, yeah, yes.
And tell me then, after refreshing your memory, when you were driving down the driveway, what the van was doing.
Facing our vehicle, like, as we were coming towards each other.
So you were coming towards each other on the driveway?
Yes.
And were you able to see who was driving?
Yes.
And who was that?
Linda.
And once your vehicle started going towards each other, and you're looking at her, did the van make any turns or changes in the direction?
I mean, at what point, I don't know, but I know it had moved. The vehicle moved.
It moved? Where did it move to?
I can just tell you where it kind of ended up. I don't really recall like where exactly it had moved.
Did you see it leave the driveway?
Yeah, it left the driveway, so it went towards around the house.
Towards around the house, you said?
Yes, so I don't know which direction, so it would be going down. I guess it would be south, I think.
If you're looking at it, do you recall if it was left or right?
Okay, so it would be on my left.
To your left?
How she went down, yeah, I don't really, it's hard to say.
You remember her going around to the house, the back of the house?
I do.
So let me ask you this. Once you saw her going around to the back of the house, what did you do?
I don't know.
Did you get out?
At some point we did. Everything is a big blur.
Where did you guys stop your vehicle?
Up top, on the top of the house, the top part of the, it would be in front, or well, I guess it would be considered the front, like as you're approaching the house.
At the front of the house?
Yeah.
And at that time, was the van in the back of the house?
Yeah.
And then, what did you do then at that point?
I don't really recall.
Did you get out?
I did. At some point I did get out, yes.
What did you do when you got out of the van? I'm sorry, out of your vehicle. I misspoke. Please strike that.
When I got out of our truck, I don't know.
Did you call 911?
I did call 911, yeah.
Did you tell them what was going on?
I did.
Were you upset?
This witness.
Yeah.
Did you, at that point, see Todd?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. And where was Todd?
He was on the ground by the house.
He was on the ground?
Court TV,
and you said by
seriously?
the house?
Yeah.
And you saw him once you got out?
Yeah, I was out of the vehicle.
And did you get close to Todd?
I did.
Did you see Linda at that time?
I did see Linda.
And what did you see Linda doing?
When we came across Todd.
When you got out of the van, tell me what you saw Linda do.
Out of the truck.
I don't recall.
Did you see her get out of her van?
I don't recall.
Did you go to the backyard?
I don't recall.
Okay, they're going to have
so
to admit
once
their
you
prior
saw
statements.
Todd, did you stop there?
Yeah. I didn't go any further.
And did you see then what happened as you were standing by Todd?
I mean, not really. I don't recall most of it.
Okay. Did you remember what Linda was doing with Todd?
No.
What do you remember?
I don't remember a lot. I kind of blocked it out.
If I let you read your prior testimony, would that help refresh your memory?
Yes.
I think the judge has concerns right now. We're about to have a breakdown. I think we might need to excuse the jury.
I'm just going to have you take a look at that while you take a drink of water, okay? Just look at that page when you're ready. And then you can just look up and tell me if that help refreshes your memory.
Something she probably tried to block out of her memory for 18 years.
Did that help refresh your memory?
Now she has to repeat.
And when you were by Todd, what did you see Linda do?
Linda covered Todd with her body, top of his body.
So when you say she covered Todd with her body, was she laying on him?
Yeah, she was like laying covered on the top of him. Like,
was Todd alive at that point?
I don't think so. I mean, it was hard to tell.
Did you see him breathing?
I don't recall. I want to say I think he was, but it was hard to tell because he was so badly burned.
Did you see them move Todd's body?
Yeah,
is that a yes?
Yes.
And do you know where they moved him to?
Away from the house. I remember they were concerned about some tanks, maybe, possibly on the side of the house, or some explosion they were worried about, possibly, so they moved him.
Did you see what they moved him in?
I think it was like a sled or some kind of some kind of whatever was on the property that they could find. Maybe some wooden pallets or something like that.
I'm sorry.
Like wood pallets or a sled or something.
Like a sled thing?
Yeah, it was.
And did you talk to Linda about what had happened?
I may have asked what had happened, but I don't recall what she said. I may have asked.
If I show you your past trial your transcript, would it help refresh your memory?
It would.
I'm going to start here and then go to the next page. Just read through that. And after you've had a chance to read that, if you can just look up.
This was the neighbor who called 911.
That help refresh your memory?
Yes.
And can you tell me then what Linda told you had happened?
She was doing laundry in the basement.
And did she tell you if she heard anything?
She did. She said she heard Todd scream.
Did you ask her if she had run over Todd?
I don't recall.
You looked at your trial transcript. Would it help refresh your memory?
It would.
I'm going to have you actually just continue reading there
okay.
on the page that I gave you.
It's going to be a slow process as her memory is such that needs to be refreshed about every detail. Yeah, her lack of recollection makes anything she remembers almost worthless. I think the jury would have to rely entirely on the previous transcript. for the report.
Does that help refresh your memory?
Yeah. I believe so. What was the question?
Did she tell you, did you have a conversation about her running Todd over with the van?
Yeah, I didn't see that in here. I didn't.
Do you remember writing out a statement when you talked to law enforcement?
I don't remember.
If I showed you a copy of a statement, could you recognize your handwriting and determine if this is yours?
Yes.
I'm going to have you just take a look at that. Do you recognize that?
The answer has to be yes, sir. I recognize my
Put the
handwriting.
microphone a little closer. Yep.
Yeah, I recognize my handwriting.
Did you write that?
Yes, I recognize it.
So I'm going to direct your attention then to your handwritten statement. Can you just read that when you've had an opportunity to look up?
Okay.
While she reads that, just a reminder, we're going to be talking about this case on Courtroom Confidential tonight. Josh Ritter invited me on from 8 to 8:30. Please join us over there. We're going to be talking about this tonight.
Did that help refresh your memory?
Yes.
And so did you have a conversation with her about if she had run over Todd Stermer with the van?
Yes.
And what did she say?
That she thought that she had.
And later on, did you continue to have discussions with Ms. Stermer about what had happened after that day?
We had.
And did she mention anything about fighting with Mr. Stermer or anything the day that you talked to her at the fire?
I don't recall.
So when you looked at your statement from your testimony, did you say that she had said that?
No.
No. I'm just going to have you look at one of the other pages that you wrote out. I'm going to have you read this paragraph right there, and then when you've had a chance to read that, if you could just look up.
So Courtroom Confidential tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, 5 p.m. Pacific. Just for half an hour, Josh and I will be chatting about this one. Please join us. This is painful.
Did that help refresh your memory?
It does refresh some of it, but I don't remember this specifics.
So when I ask you, do you remember any conversations about any potential arguments or anything between Mr. and Mrs. Stermer? Do you recall that conversation with Linda?
I don't recall it.
Had Ms. Stermer ever talked to you prior about any sort of arguments or problems in her marriage?
I don't recall her talking prior about arguments or problems. I remember one time talking about how one of the horses kicked her and he told her to kind of suck it out. But that's, I think, one of the only.
And that was prior to the fire?
I don't know if it was prior or after.
Well,
if he was
you don't know if Linda told you about it prior or after. Okay.
Right.
And that particular paragraph, you don't recall then her discussing this with you afterwards?
Her talking to me about that, no.
Okay. Do you recall that conversation at all, even if you don't remember what day?
It's very scattered. It's very hard to. It's been so long.
It was a very traumatic incident for you, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Still is.
Still affects you today, talking about it?
Yes.
You still remember it?
Yes.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Let's see if they come out with daggers drawn or treat it with kid gloves. There are two ways to go here, defense. What's it going to be?
And I know you're having a difficult time, so I'm going to try to be as brief as I can. Do you recall having an interview with a detective?
Yeah, I mean, I know I had an interview with the detective. I don't know exactly when. Like if you asked me if it was what month, I couldn't tell you.
Okay. Do you recall the day? I know you recall the day of the fire, the day that you arrived at the Stermer's property and saw Mr. Stermer land on the ground. Do you recall that day if you gave a statement to one of the officers on the scene?
I don't recall.
But you do recall getting out of your car, you and Mr. Matheny.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Linda's writing some post-it notes.
When you was getting out of your car, you also saw Miss Stermer. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell me, if you recall, what her emotional status, in your opinion, was when you saw her?
She was hysterical.
Hysterical.
Yes.
Do you recall if she was crying?
She was more than crying, yes.
Was she screaming?
Yes.
Okay. Did you hear her voice screaming before you and Mr. Matheny reached the house?
I don't recall.
You don't recall? When you got out of your car and you approached Mr. Stermer's body, Mr. Matheny called 911. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Okay. And did you also have the phone in your hand for a period of time?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And you were screaming for help?
Yes.
Okay. Did you, if you can recall, did you smell any unusual odor on Mr. Stermer?
No.
Do you know what the smell of gasoline smells like?
Yes.
Did you smell any gasoline on Mr. Stermer?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Did you smell any gasoline on Miss Stermer?
No.
Said I'll be brief, Your Honor. Could I have just 1 second?
Thank you. I just have one, Your Honor. So when you see Todd and you see his condition, are you upset at that point?
Yes.
Did you kneel down beside Mr. Stermer?
Yes.
And how close did you get to him?
I don't know in distance, but I was not far. Maybe from me to the podium, maybe
From me to what?
Maybe from me to here, from my where I'm sitting to maybe here. I was close.
Were you by his face?
Yeah, I checked his. I believe I checked his airway. So yeah.
So you were by his face?
Yes.
I have no further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Anything else?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Jury, do you have any questions of her, anyone? We've got a hand going up.
Wonder if I think the back focus is off on this camera. Is that a possibility? When it zooms out, it goes out of focus. I like those shoes, the red shoes. Yeah, she's had a rough go of it. Her appearance, she was supposed to be here for day 1 of trial, and she didn't show up. Because she missed her subpoena, the police went and got her and brought her. And that was on Friday, and she was...
Did you call 911 or did Mike Matheny call 911?
I don't recall.
Okay. Counsel, any questions in light of that question and answer?
No, Your Honor.
No? Okay. Any other jury questions? No. May she be excused from her subpoena, both sides?
Please be excused, Your Honor.
Okay. And you as well, defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Excusing her? Okay. You're all done. You're excused from your subpoena obligations, okay? Thank you, ma'am. We'll take a 15-minute break, jury. And remember your rules.
She's in a bad way. She needs help. She needs help. Oh, wow. She, when she was brought to court, the judge was pretty harsh on her. Judges generally are with people who skip subpoenas, and asked her if she had anything in her system. And she said no. And you said, "Are you sure not even a little meth?" And she said no. Judge ordered her to jail for missing the subpoena. Was going to hold her there over the weekend. Gave her a bond of $1,000 if she could pay it, which I don't think she must have paid it.
Counsel, any matters to address in our break?
Only one, Your Honor. Our next witness is Scott Leroy, so we'd like to start it so that we can maybe keep somewhat on schedule for tomorrow. I have a motion with the court at 4 o'clock. I believe that motion is going to be very short. And so I'm asking permission if the court would allow us to go until 4:30 today.
Yeah, that's what time's our other one for? Okay. That's fine.
So we'll send a jury out your motion and bring it back?
My motion's on a different, she's talking about a different case.
Right.
Oh, no, so we would end at 4:30 your case, and then we would go on.
Yeah, my motion at 4:30 is not going to be a very long motion. Thank you, Your Honor. I just wanted to make sure we were okay on timing, because it makes more sense
we'll
to be able
go
to
to
get them out for
4:30
an hour
and
and
then-
15 minutes compared to 45.
Okay, yeah, I think that other one will be short. So.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
Are you talking about the sex offender registry one?
It's the motion for...
It just got a little more interesting. All right, we'll let them go to break for a little while. So clearly a traumatic experience. Obviously, she's dealing with addiction issues as well. And I'm surprised they let her testify. I just don't think there wasn't a lot there that the state needed that they didn't have from somebody else. They already had her boyfriend, okay? He was already there that testified and told about moving the body and what they saw. I guess we got a little bit about the van coming towards them when they first pulled up and then turning, driving off behind the house. That was, I guess, a little more specific here. But anything she remembers from her own recollection that she testifies to today, I think is practically worthless from the jury's perspective. She doesn't even know if she called 911 or if her boyfriend did. So I'm surprised the state would do that. Yeah, that's a really tough situation. I hope she gets the help that she needs for sure. All right. We've had a little break. I'll remind you tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Mountain. I like how I bounced back and forth there. I will be on Courtroom Confidential's channel with Josh Ritter, and we'll be talking about this case and some of the happenings and the things that are interesting, that makes it interesting why we're watching this. This being a retrial, the second time this has happened. The jury knows about it now. That's a fun fact. The jury knows that there was a prior. They've seen evidence that has exhibit numbers from a prior trial, and it doesn't take a mathematician to put that together in your head. Evidence generally isn't shared between trials unless it's the same offense or multiple people, it's using in the same crime. So they also know that she was in fact in jail at one point, and there was a stipulation that it was regarding this case. So the jury knows this is a retrial. The jury knows that she's tried before and that she went at least to jail for it, not necessarily that she was found guilty. But they're getting fewer and fewer secrets from the jury as we go along. Those are asking about the baseball bat beating trial. Yes, the verdict is in. Everything is over on the Top Mark Media channel. So if one of the mods can type ! Top Mark, that will get you over to that channel if you want to watch that. I think a couple thousand of you already have. Let's see what we had. Looks like, yeah, about 2,400 of you have watched the verdict. The verdict is a long video. I did not watch it. I just recorded it and posted it. And you have to sort of fast forward to get to the end. There's a couple other things waiting. So you have to zip along and then you get the verdict. But it's worth it. I think it's worth going and watching. We're not going to watch that together here on this channel. There's just too much going on. So that's not going to happen. All right. That's the Top Mark Media. Top Mark Media is my company, by the way. That's the one that owns this channel. It's a company of me. Me and only me. So I get the 42, 52, somewhere around there. It's way in there. But there's a lot of fun courtroom action that goes on before. All right. Any thoughts? The smell of gas burns off if you caught fire. Yes. Okay, Barbara. I didn't want to bring this up. There was a point when I was... I realize this is not environmentally friendly, what I'm confessing to here. But growing up, there was a point where I was in charge of making sure weeds and grass did not grow in a certain area. And I chose gasoline as fixing that. Gasoline will burn the weeds off. I poured it on first and then lit it. So yes, I can tell you, flashpoint, you don't have to be anywhere close to the gas. It will just, let the fumes touch the flame, boom. I mean, you got the three parts. You've got oxygen, you've got the fuel source, and you've got the heat, and then you have fire. The gas burns off, and the smell does dissipate quite rapidly, as long as you're not in the smoke. But it would burn off in the grass. The dirt would be dry where things were that would burn all the weeds and stuff. And then if you took a shovel and stirred it up, because I had poured gasoline into the ground, which was terrible, fire would jump back up because trapped fumes underground, fuel, it releases more gas. And the smell of gasoline would become stronger again. So it's possible that what we think of as the smell of gasoline is actually some of those lighter particles of the gasoline that is off-gassed. And once it's burned and those are gone, there still is gasoline there, but there's not as much smell as we know it. there's my scientific explanation for you. Bug Dugger, hey friends, good to see you. Been on vacation and recovery from vacation. I missed you all. It's good to be back. Bug Dugger, welcome back. Red Pen was also on vacation. Good to have both of you here again. Let's see. The previous witness could very well be suffering from PTSD. Yeah, and being thrown in jail right before you testify, and then held in a hotel. Not held, but you were told to stay in a hotel waiting up till now. This was probably nothing she wanted to do. Okay. Have one more message here. OG Boy Mama times 3. Best 8 months. Had bad storms Sunday. Supposed to have level 3 risk tonight. Hope all is well. There are areas with level 5 risk, and it's a massive area. As Thomas was pointing out in our mod chat, this is not a test. This is not this is serious. It rarely gets as serious as the weather is right now. So please, if you're in an area that typically gets big storms, thunderstorms, tornadoes, things like that, please be weather aware, pay attention, and keep your own safety in mind. Check on those people who you know and love as well. T-Sue says, excited to have Scott on tonight. See y'all there. Yes, we'll be there. Thank you very much for the invite. Love it. We'll be on Courtroom Confidential. Thank you very much, you guys. Can't wait to be with you guys. All right. I was going to wear my T-Sue's. I was going to wear this shirt. Is that bad? Should I dress up, or can I rep your channel while I'm on it? Let's see. Yeah. We'll be twinsy. All right. Awesome. I'm wearing the tee. So I don't know if you want to wear the hoodie or whatever else. I've got the T-shirt on. I'll need to order another, I think. Tornado hit this morning about 2 blocks from my sister here in Oklahoma. We heard in the Tulsa area from Weather Watch. Yeah, actually has some contacts up in that part as well. There was a pretty serious tornado. Some people lost everything in that. I don't know what the impact as far as lives go, but today, I mean, these are life-threatening storms out there. So please be careful. I wore it last time. If I wore it last time, I need to change. I'll change. I'll find a different shirt. I have to do it differently. See, I think the first time I wore blue, I have to wear a different shirt every time. Curious how she did this and didn't get burnt herself. J-Man, if there was a bunch of flame, open flame, a fireplace, and burning kerosene lamps in the living room, and her husband, for whatever reason, was laying on the couch in a condition where he was not likely to get up or wake up, and she poured a gallon of gasoline on him, just glug, 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 all over the chair, all over him, that he is either unconscious or sedated enough that he does not come to when this happens. Then she just goes downstairs and waits for the fumes and the flames to meet. And when that happens, yeah, there would be an explosion. There would be a big woof as the explosion is the rapid change of air pressure from the heat and the expansion. There would be something like that, and that I'm sure that would be enough to jar him awake as well, and that could account for how he ran out of the house. And so it sounds like she was waiting for that to happen, if you believe what the state's telling us. Iris says, Friday is Jonas's 9th birthday. He asked me to make sure you will sing to him then. Iris, have you got him on the birthday list? Get him on our birthday list if you know where that is. I do not maintain that, nor I don't think I've ever accessed it, to tell you the truth. The mods do it all for me, and they're fantastic. But the birthday list is the best place to. You can get on early. Josh says I have him down. Good. You're fine, Iris. We've got it covered. Josh has got your back. So Jonas will be sung to. Happy birthday in advance, Jonas, by the way. All right. Head wounds are the biggest killer in tornadoes. Put kids' bikes helmets on. Tisha says, can we get a link to the birthday list? I need to add my mom for tomorrow. Amber normally is the one that puts it in chat. Josh, do you have the birthday list saved somewhere? Jeannie for tomorrow. Deanie Mullis Diver says, I have TV on the Weather Channel, and the Torcon is 9 out of 10. That is really high. Really high. There's the form. Thank you, Amber. Thank you, Josh, both for nailing that with milliseconds apart. Should I put myself on the list for 12 months' time? Teresa. Happy birthday, Teresa. Safe room helps, yep. A lot of times people say a bathtub's a safe thing to get into. First of all, they're very heavy. The walls are generally very small around a bathroom, and smaller walls have a more wood to wall ratio, I guess. And the bathtub, like the cast iron edges of the bathtub, will prevent objects from flying sideways from going through you. I need to figure out a way to keep my bird cam live. But right now my bird cam is coming on the same video that we have our counter on. So I have to fix that. Yeah, old school. A good old clawfoot tub will save you every day in a tornado. Mattress on top, clawfoot tub as a shelter. Northeast Arkansas, supposed to get bad. Hope your family is safe up there, Josh. If you have a motorcycle helmet, put it on. Some text here. I heard that Val Kilmer died, but of course that news came out on April 1st, so I wasn't sure if I was going to believe it. Still don't know if it's true. What is the safest state to live weather-wise? It depends what threat you want to compare against. If you're going with like moose and grizzly bear attacks, Canada is probably not on the top of the list. But if you're looking for tornadoes, Canada, sorry, I meant Alaska, not Canada. Alaska, the 51st state. Canada, the 51st state. There we go. Safest state, maybe Wyoming, but then they've got like volcano threats, and they have some pretty bad winters as well. Arizona's good if you don't mind the heat. Pennsylvania. PA isn't bad. Whoa, Casey TC77 just gifted 20 memberships. Some great names already. Waffles and True Crime, Nursey Dog Mom. You got great aim. Great aim, Casey. Deborah Miller, Nerdy Dog Mom's in there as well. Pamela the Camel. Some Maui Bell, some OGs on the list. Thank you so much for your generosity. That is huge. Tom R33. Definitely not your mom is in there. Yay, new members. That is super kind. Kathy's saying, me. That's really, really generous. Casey TC77, thank you so much. That's your support of the channel is very, very appreciated. Ohio's pretty good. Some snowy weather, but rarely bad rain, weather, or tornado or volcano. What about ice storms? Does Ohio get ice storms? Ivy Berlin says, "Look at me, I'm green." It's wonderful. If you got hit by a gifted membership, please click the like button and say thanks. That way, that would be great. Casey, thank you. You made many people very happy today. That is awesome. Checking the squirrel cam over here. Nothing is happening. Cardinals are gone. No, nothing's out there right now. Delaware is the safest state weather-wise. Yeah, but what about the bugs? The itsy bitsies. Did Mrs. R.A. see her car? Shh. Peter Ware did membership as well. Thank you, Peter.
Back on the record, People versus Linda Stermer. Any matters to address before we bring in the jury, counsel? No?
You will bring the jury. Storm chasers are targeting, I think it's more eastern Arkansas, western Tennessee. That whole area is just under threat. And it's not a question of if, it's where the life-threatening storms are going to be. There will be large, long-track tornadoes on the ground in that area. The no-see-ums are called midges. They get in your eyes and then you see them. What are the... I hate the ones that just buzz in your eyes. We get them in the summer, usually once the heat comes in. They're terrible.
Ms. Ayden, you may call your next witness.
Your Honor, we'll call Scott Leroy to the witness stand.
Scott Leroy? Brought a bag.
If you raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Please have a seat, and once you're settled in, we'll have you tell us your full name and spell your last, please. If you want to give me that empty cup, or it may have water in it, but thank you.
Judge, don't drink it. That would be
My name is Scott Leroy. Leroy is Leroy.
Thank you. Mr. Blair?
Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, how are you employed?
I am currently retired from the Michigan State Police and work two part-time jobs as a private fire investigator and as a medical examiner investigator.
And when you were employed with the Michigan State Police, what was your role there?
My last role was from 2001 to 2020. I was a fire investigator stationed here in Paw Paw.
And how long were you with the Michigan State Police for?
31 years.
When did you start there?
I started in 1989.
And as a role as, for instance, starting at the Michigan State Police, did you just start out as a fire investigator?
No. My first 10 years, I was a road trooper at the Ithaca Post. In 2000, I got promoted to uniform sergeant, and I was a supervisory uniform sergeant at the Lakeview Post. Then I transferred down here to Paw Paw in 2001 in the role of a fire investigator.
Fair to say that as your time prior to becoming a fire investigator, you were trained in, basic investigative skills, evidence collection, that sort of thing?
Yes.
And then you indicated, what year did you become a fire investigator for the Michigan State Police?
2001.
And prior to becoming a fire investigator in 2001, was there a certain level of coursework that you had to attend or go through?
I had attended, before I got into the Michigan State Police, I attended Lake Superior State University, obtained a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and an associate's degree in fire science. While I was a trooper, I took some courses in the initial fire investigation course and a follow-up, more advanced fire investigation course.
And I assume that before the Michigan State Police allows you to go out and start investigating fires on your own, is there some parameters or qualifications that you have to meet?
At that time, no. I was just had to go through, apply, go through an interview process.
They just let you run out there and do it.
Well, in that time, I'm sorry. At that, I was able to transfer in here on the transfer roster.
And as part of your fire investigation training for the Michigan State Police, what coursework did you have to go through? Can you restate that for me, please?
Well, I've gone through, since I've been with the State Police, I've gone through a lot of coursework. Started out with what's called Fire Investigation 1, then Fire Investigation 2. I have my CV here to review all the classes if I could, to refresh my memory, or no?
Well, let me ask it this way.
Okay.
Have you provided a copy of your curriculum vitae or CV to the prosecutor's office?
I have.
And yeah, pros witness. The show has been marked as People's Proposed Exhibit 33. And ask if you recognize that, sir.
This is a copy of my curriculum vitae or CV.
And that's a fair and accurate representation of what you provided to the prosecutor's office as your curriculum vitae?
Yes.
Move for the admission of 33. All right, so let's, I guess, kind of go through. So basically, to become a fire investigator of the State Police, you go through, you said Fire 1 and Fire 2. Is that correct?
Correct.
And is there some on-the-job training you have to go through as well?
Eventually, yes.
What is that?
Once I became a fire investigator down here, I would go to scenes with a more senior fire investigator. I did that for about 1 or 2 months.
And then, is there continuing coursework you're required to do when you're at the Michigan State Police?
Not then. There is now.
And have you, even though may not require, did you go through additional coursework?
Yes.
What type of coursework did you do?
There was many different courseworks. I took a class in vehicle fire school, electric and gas appliance fire school, solid fuel burning, which is a fancy way to say fireplaces school, done post-blast school with ATF, taken fire pattern and recognition class, residential electricity for fire investigators. That was a class I took, what's called an ATF enclosure, which was another 2-week course at the ATF Fire Research Facility out in Maryland. Spent 2 weeks there. Class in ventilation and flow path and growth. That's a ventilation is the fire, the air affecting of the fire. And recently a fatal fire investigation class. All those official, I kind of skipped over some of the ones like hazardous materials and things like that.
And like what agencies offer these types of classes?
Different agencies. The Michigan State Police offered some of them. ATF offered some. The International Association of Arson Investigators, which goes by an acronym IAAI.
And let's talk about IAAI. Do you have any specific certifications as a fire investigator?
I do.
And what are those and who are those through?
I hold 2 national certifications. The first one is a certified fire investigator through the International Association of Arson Investigators. I obtained that in 2006. I also am a member and obtained a certification called Certified Fire and Explosive Investigator. That's with the National Association of Fire Investigators. I obtained that certification in 2019.
I just need to strike the last part with respect to anything past 2007. This case is about his expertise level in 2007.
I would disagree. I think he's allowed to give his training experience today, and if that would affect or change his opinion, obviously, then Mr. Mueller's free to ask him about that. But I think his experience today is just as relevant as it was in 2007.
I agree. I'll overrule the objection.
His continued education.
Now, with respect to, so it sounds to me like you've done a continuing level of coursework throughout your years as a fire investigator, fair?
Yes.
And have you been qualified as an expert in courts before?
Yes.
In what field?
In fire investigation, I've also been an expert in meth lab identification.
And as part of being a fire investigator, is that, we've heard maybe terms called cause and origin. Is that something that you have opined about in courts before?
Yes.
And do you recall how many courts you've been qualified as an expert in?
I've been qualified 47 times in origin and cause investigation, including, I believe, 7 times in this court.
Your Honor, at this point in time, I'd move to admit Scott Leroy as an expert in fire investigation, cause and origin.
No objection, Your Honor.
Receive his testimony as an expert.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, I'd like to take you back to January 7th of 2007. Do you recall that date?
Yes.
And on that date, were you still working for the Michigan State Police?
I was.
And what role were you working in at that time?
I was a detective sergeant with the Michigan State Police Fire Investigation Unit out of 5th District Headquarters here in Paw Paw.
And we've heard terms thrown about the word fire marshal. Is that you?
That would be yes, that's me.
Okay, all right. Just so there's no confusion, when we hear the term fire marshal, are you commonly referred to as a fire marshal?
That's there's a small difference, but more people usually just interchangeably use those two phrases.
And on 1/7 of 2007, did you respond to a residence on County Road 215 in Lawrence Township?
Yes.
Do you know that to be the Stermer residence?
Yes.
And how was it you were dispatched on that date?
I was contacted by cell phone at home off duty at approximately 4:30 in the afternoon and informed of the fire.
And did you then respond?
I did.
Do you recall about what time you responded?
I arrived on the scene approximately 6 p.m.
And upon arriving on scene, can you describe what you observed? Well, I guess you rephrase that. Upon your initial arrival, what did you observe?
There's obviously a lot of activity going on. Fire department was there. Sheriff's Department vehicles were there. I approached there was a lot of commotion going on. It was it was rain/snow going on. I would have contacted whoever was in charge, either the fire chief or the lead law enforcement on scene.
And is this kind of just the process of you beginning your investigation into this fire?
Yes, I would do that just so they know I was there.
And what about the condition of the house at the time you arrived on scene? Can you describe that for the jury, please?
The house was still actively smoking. There were no flames to be seen, but there was a lot of smoke still coming out of the house. There was a fire apparatus parked right in front of the house. I believe it was a ladder truck with hoses still on the ground and active fire suppression going on.
Now this might kind of go without saying, but I have to ask this anyway. Does the fact that the fire is still going on, does that prevent you from going in and conducting any investigation at this time?
Yes.
And at some point in time, did you have the opportunity to view the body of Todd Stermer?
I did.
How is it you came to do that? Can you describe that for the jury, please?
One of the officers on scene directed me to where Todd Stermer was laying, and I went over there and I would document Todd Stermer's body, which is common practice for a fire investigator at a fatal fire scene.
How is it you document that?
I use photographs.
So the evening of the 7th, you took photographs?
Correct.
Do you recall exactly what you would have taken photographs of on the evening of the 7th?
On the evening of the 7th, I took photographs of Todd Stermer. I also took some initial photographs of the structure and some of the surroundings.
And I was going to ask. So that's, may I approach the witness, Your Honor? Sir, I'm going to show you what's been marked as People's Proposed Exhibit 34-1 through 34-31. Ask if you take a look at those, please.
Looks like we have some more pictures coming in. I wish I had a chippy around here. Be terrible for my diet, slothitilica, but I haven't had good fish and chips since last time I was in London.
Having looked at People's Proposed Exhibit 34, do you recognize those photographs?
Those are photographs that I took both the evening of the 7th and the next day on the 8th.
Those are fair and accurate representations of the observations you would have made then on the 7th and the 8th of January 2007?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this point in time, I'd move for the admission of 34-1-3431. May I publish to the jury?
Yes.
Thank you.
Is somebody barefoot behind Linda Stermer there? I see distinct toes.
Sir, I'm going to show you, if we can, 34-1. What are we looking at here in this photograph?
This is the front or east side of the structure on the evening of the 7th. And you'll
now I see shoes.
tell evening of the 7th is dark and snowy. The photographs of the 8th are during the daytime.
And do you recall about what time it was you were taking these photographs?
It would have been after I got out of the scene after 6 p.m. I don't know exactly when.
And contained in this photograph, right here about center where I'm circling with the red laser pointer, what are we observing there?
There's fire hoses coming from the fire engine, and there's also a red gasoline can.
And does that become relevant here a little later on in your testimony?
It will.
And looking at 34-2.
This is the rear or west side of the residence. And just to the very far left, you can see the front bumper of a van.
I can't see it. I looked
34-3.
That is the van from the previous photograph, or the bumper of the previous photograph.
Now, you're obviously on scene as a fire investigator, correct?
That is correct.
Can you explain why you're taking pictures of a van?
As I'm a fire investigator, but I'm also a detective with the Michigan State Police. So if I see something that may be evidence, I'm going to take note of it, especially in the evening when it's dark. I take a photograph of it because you never can take too many photographs of something. So I noticed this van behind, and I think the next picture will show what I noticed, so I took some pictures.
Now, I'm going to ask this if I can right now. You've been shown approximately 31 photographs here today, is that correct?
Correct.
Is that the full totality of all the photographs you took?
No.
How many photographs did you end up taking in this case?
It was over 100.
Click, 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 click.
And looking at 34-4.
That is a close-up of the van bumper where I noticed what could be blood.
And 35-5.
35-5, that is going to be the north side of the house.
So this gentleman's photograph with that gas can on the front lawn as the firefighters are fighting the fire, that means that it was not placed there overnight.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Thank you for that.
After everyone left the scene.
And looking at 34-6.
This is on the north side of the house. Also what appeared to be blood on the ground. And then if you go back to 5, you can see with my photograph just to the lower right, you can see the 2 orange flags that are in the ground.
Where I'm circling again with the pointer?
Yes. And those are, and 6 is a close-up of those flags.
And Your Honor, I guess I'm going to kind of warn the court the next couple of pictures are going to be a little bit graphic of Mr. Stermer, so I don't know how the court wants to proceed with that or give the family an opportunity.
Copies I can look at?
Yes, Mr. Leroy has them right there.
Okay.
B7 and 8.
The right thing to do here is for the judge to tell the camera not to transmit the images. I think they won't anyway. Generally, that's enough of a warning, so we know that we're not going to want to see that.
Jury, there's some graphic photos coming up next, so just alerting you to that. Okay. And if there's any members in the audience who want to leave the courtroom while they're on display, I can take a break and let you leave. No one? Okay. Thank you.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as 34-7. What are we looking at here, sir?
We've been warned.
That is a photograph of Todd Stermer as I was examining him.
And we are looking at, there are several items in this photograph. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
What are we looking at these items, if you're aware, here on the chest of Mr. Stermer?
Specifically the chest, well, I can see the 2 larger pads are AED pads, which are used by EMS. And I believe the smaller ones are heart sensors over on the chest and abdomen area.
And there are a multitude of what look like clothing items here. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
And do you know how those got there?
Apparently bystander or EMS and Good Samaritans who arrived on scene first placed blankets and clothing over Mr. Stermer, and I would have removed some of them in order so I could photograph Mr. Stermer.
And looking at 34-8, what are we looking at here?
That is Mr. Stermer's feet, and around his feet are a pair of gray sweatpants and a pair of white socks on his feet.
And with respect to those sweatpants, was there anything peculiar about them that you noticed?
When I took other items, the blankets and other items off of Mr. Stermer to photograph him, there was a detectable odor of a liquid accelerant in the area from Mr. Stermer, and as I got closer, they seemed to be coming from the sweatpants.
I'm going to show you what's been previously marked, if I may approach, Your Honor. People's Exhibit 17.
That means it was not the Carhartt jacket
those.
or the blankets.
These are the sweatpants that are in a nylon bag with my initials on them.
Those are the ones you then removed from the body of Todd Stermer?
Yes.
And these are the same sweatpants you indicated smelled of the liquid accelerant, is that correct?
That is correct.
It's a clarifying question, Your Honor. Fair. Now, on the 7th of January 2007, did you collect any other evidence?
I did not.
Did you then return to the property?
I did.
On what date was that?
The next day, on January 8th.
And on that date, what did you do?
On that date, it was concentration on starting my cause and origin investigation of the house.
And how is it you go about doing that, generally speaking?
In general terms, when you do cause and origin investigation, I'm going to examine the house, both exterior and interior, noting burning, things that aren't burned, things that are gone, that have burned up. It's a general examination. You typically do the entire, or you do the, if possible, the entire exterior, and if possible, the entire interior.
Makes a note of things that
now,
are gone.
when you returned on the 8th, was the scene still secured?
Yes.
How was it secured?
The sheriff's department had left a patrol car on the scene overnight.
Was there also like crime scene tape or anything like that you recall?
I don't recall if there's crime scene tape.
And was this in the daytime or nighttime hours that you did this? On the 8th?
On the 8th. It was the daytime.
Do you recall about what time?
It would have been, the exact time, no. I know it had been shortly after 9 a.m. because that's when I was notified of the search warrant.
And as part of your, I think you've talked about a walk around, do you take photographs?
Yes.
And did you do so in this case?
Yes.
And looking at the remaining photographs in People's Exhibit 34, do you recognize what those are depicting, just generally?
All these photos are 34, correct?
Yes, those are all 34, but I'm asking about the remaining.
Yes, yes, those are the next day on the 8th.
And what is the purpose in part of the purpose in taking these photographs?
To document the scene.
And in this case, just generally speaking, do you recall what you took photos of?
I took photos of the house, both exterior and interior.
Now, were you able to make a deep entrance into the interior of the house?
I was able to make entrance into the house on the west side. I tried to make entry into the east side, but that was limited due to the structural collapse that was on the east side of the structure.
It is part of your process also to collect physical evidence.
Yes.
And where do you collect that from, if you can kind of just generally detail that? For instance, inside the residence, outside the residence?
If I see something that is potential evidence, I'm going to collect it, inside or outside.
Fair enough. Have you heard the term excavation before?
Yes.
What does that mean to you?
In fire investigation community, excavation means removing fire debris from the scene in order to look for evidence or other patterns to help determine where and what could be responsible for the fire.
And did you conduct an excavation in this case?
I did.
And was that captured in your photographs?
Bits and pieces of it were captured. Unfortunately, the major, the scene after I excavated it, I cannot find a photograph of it.
And also as part of an investigation into a fire, do you collect samples?
I can.
And like, describe for the jury what those might entail, if you can, please. What the samples might be, like that you might look for or collect.
If I'm sampling items to look for ignitable liquids, I will typically look for the surface that is in the area of origin to see if there was ignitable liquid in the area of origin, which often includes carpeting, carpet pad, flooring, carpet tack strips, or other parts of a structure that remain behind in the area of origin that may hold traces of a flammable liquid.
All right. And so let's go ahead, if we can, and go back to your photographs. If I look at 34-9, what are we looking at here?
That is the front or east side of the structure.
And 34-10?
That is the south side of the structure.
Now, there is, for lack of better words, we'll call it a rectangle cut along the cement foundation here. Do you see that?
Yes.
Do you know what that is?
That will be done during fire suppression. If you go back one, you can see the same thing happened on the east side. Below the windows, you can see there is holes cut in the wall. That is standard for a fire department to do that, especially if they can't make entry through normal access, the doorway, where in this case they couldn't because of the structural collapse.
What is their purpose in cutting those holes in the house?
To get access to the interior to put the fire out.
Spray it with water?
Yes.
And let's go to 34-11. What are we looking at here?
That is the north side of the house.
And there is a large green object depicted here in the photograph. What are we looking at there, if you have any knowledge of that?
That is a fuel oil tank that is filled to typically power a fuel oil furnace.
And 34-12.
This is the rear of the house, or the west side of the house, facing the back.
And 34-13.
This is an aerial photograph. During the scene, I had a fire department aerial truck come to the scene so I could get above the house and take a photograph from the top down.
So we're kind of talking like a ladder truck type of thing?
Yes.
Okay. With the bucket on the end?
I don't think this one had a bucket, but it was a ladder truck.
Okay. But that allows you to get up high and look down in?
Correct. This is the day before drones.
And 34-14?
This is also from the aerial truck with a house and showing the more of the yard towards the north.
And there are some persons kind of standing here in the photograph. Any idea who those are?
I believe one is the deputy from Berrien County Sheriff's Department who was doing the measuring, and probably more law enforcement officers.
And there were photographs earlier taken of some flags that you saw. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Are those also depicted in this photograph?
Let's see if I can... I believe they're down there to the right. There's an orange dot. I don't think that orange dot is it, but the flags are right in that area.
And if you have knowledge, there are some tire tracks contained in this photograph. Is that fair?
Yes.
Do you know what those go to?
Those were to the wrecker that came and took the van the night before.
Looking at 15.
This is another photograph showing to the north.
And as you've previously testified, is that Mr. Galoo's from Berrien?
I believe so.
Okay.
I can't identify him from this photograph.
And 16.
With the ladder truck hasn't moved, so all I've done is turn 180 degrees. That's the shoulder of the firefighter who's behind me, making sure I don't fall, taking a picture back down the driveway back towards the road.
And 17.
17 is a close-up of the rear or west of the house, specifically focusing on the basement door and windows.
18.
This would have been from that basement door, standing right at the door, taking a picture straight in to the structure. So I'd be facing east, taking a picture of the debris in this area.
That was a hot fire.
Now,
a lot of damage.
Without getting into too much detail, there are a few objects contained in this photograph other than debris.
Well, it's all debris, but it's all identifiable debris. How's that?
Fair. So, for instance, my laser pointer, I'm pointing at an object in this part of the photo. Do you recognize that?
Is that the fireplace from the upstairs fireplace?
Where my laser pointer is.
Yes, that's the upstairs fireplace.
Fair. And what do we have right here at the bottom?
That is a section of chimney pipe.
And looking at 19.
That is a close-up of the fireplace for the upstairs.
And, moving on. Let's look at number 20.
That is a close-up of inside the upstairs fireplace.
And can you kind of explain to the jury why it was you would have taken a photograph up close and at this angle?
This is basically showing that it appears to be a fire in the fireplace, or there's remnants of a fire in a fireplace because of the burnt wood inside.
And that would be this object right here where my laser pointer is?
Correct.
And looking at 21.
21 are the sections of chimney pipe that I removed from the inside of the residence during my excavation, and that's where I stacked them.
22.
So 22. This photo, I've now stepped into the basement area through the center door of the basement. I've now rotated to the right 90 degrees. So if you look to the very tight left side of the photograph, that's going to be where the fireplace is. So this view is looking directly south to where there were two bedrooms, a downstairs bedroom and an upstairs bedroom. The floor is burned away. The separating the first floor and the basement is burned away in this area. You can see there's a window up and down. There should be a floor there to separate the first floor and the basement level.
Looking at 23.
So 23 is I've now turned 90 degrees back. So if I walked into the basement from the outside, I walked straight forward, and the solid charred wall on the left side, that is adjacent to the basement fireplace. I am documenting the location of the laundry room behind that wall. You can see 2x4 studs going up and down. There was a wall there. So just behind those studs, you can see just the outline of right there is the washer and dryer.
And what are we looking at in 24?
24 is I've made my way back there and documented the dryer.
And 25?
So I've stepped back in the middle of the downstairs basement, facing east because you can see the fireplaces. But I'm focusing more to the north or left in the area where the fuel oil furnace is located. Before we go to the next photo, you can notice just above the basement fireplace is a large 2x12 piece of structure that is black charred. And I'll show you why that's important in a second, in the next photo.
What is this green that we can see here at the top of the photograph?
That is the roof. You're looking at the shingles from on top of the roof, specifically on the north side of the house. As it collapsed inward.
And in 26?
You can see the long charred board that I pointed out earlier that's above the basement fireplace. To the left of that is the remains of the furnace, the metal portion. That's the furnace.
And 27?
27 is a close-up of the furnace.
And 28?
28 is back outside in the front, documenting where the 1 gallon gasoline can was, or is located.
And 29?
Is a close-up of the gasoline can that I eventually collected as evidence.
Just a moment, Your Honor, I'm sorry.
I've got a theory as to how this went down.
Sir, I'm going to show you what's been marked already and admitted as People's Exhibit 18. Do you recognize that?
Doesn't involve me doing laundry. Oh, it's the cellophane bag. Yes.
This is the gasoline can that I collected, and these are my initials on the tape seal.
Does it indicate what time it was you collected it?
It says I collected it at 1:40 p.m.
And that was on the 8th of January?
On the 8th.
Thank you. And just so everyone's clear, this is in a clear, crinkly kind of bag. Is that fair?
Yes, that bag is made out of nylon.
Is that important?
Yes.
Why is that?
You cannot put evidence that you're going to have the lab checked for presence of ignitable liquids in a plastic bag. It has to be in either a nylon bag or a metal paint can.
And can you explain why you can't use plastic bags or any other container?
One of the important reasons is when the lab tests these samples, they will put the sample bag and all into an oven to try to heat it up. If you did that with a plastic bag, the plastic bag would melt, and if the plastic bag melts, it can give off petroleum-based products.
So therefore, we can assume that that nylon bag doesn't melt.
That nylon bag does not melt at the temperatures that they're subject to in the lab.
Fair.
85 degrees.
Now, looking at People's Exhibit 34-30.
This is a shed located to the southwest of the main structure.
And why are you taking a picture of a shed?
I'm documenting that shed is there and is unburned.
And 31.
I am this is inside that shed, noting that this is an area where fuel cans are stored.
And I may have forgotten to ask this. We've talked about you collecting the red gas can that was out in the front yard, correct?
Correct.
Why did you collect that?
At the point I collected it, I did not know if it was evidence but it could be potential evidence because it was found in an area not with the other cans.
And
did you get fingerprints on it?
Following your documentation with photographs, your inspections, your excavations, so on and so forth, did you also try to collect any samples in this case?
I did not.
Why not?
Because the area identified as the area of origin, the areas that I would have wanted to collect samples were gone. They were burned up. They didn't exist anymore.
And what would that have entailed if you could have collected?
It would have been the first floor. The flooring, any carpeting, any material on the first floor.
But your indication was those were totally consumed?
They are totally consumed, yes. Just as you can see by the earlier photographs from the basement up, there is no floor left.
It's a stick frame home that was not finished
following your
construction.
investigation at the scene, did you then go to another location on the 8th?
Yes.
Where did you go?
I went to the Van Buren County Sheriff's Department.
What was your purpose in going there?
To package evidence that they had collected from the scene the night before, clothing and other material that were on Todd Stermer that night.
Do you recall what those were?
There was blankets, there was a coat, there was some clothes that came from Linda Stermer herself. They were in the evidence room of the Sheriff's Department, and I went in there and packaged them into nylon bags.
And did you collect any other evidence when you were at the Sheriff's Department?
At the Sheriff's Department, they also had metal paint cans that were collected at the autopsy of Todd Stermer. I collected those at that also.
And were you responsible for then transporting those items to the State Police Crime Lab?
I did. I transported all those items to the crime lab in Grand Rapids on January 11th.
Your Honor, can we approach very briefly?
Okay, quick approach. Let me tell you my theory while they're approaching. This is what I think, and this is just my idea of what happened. I think that it did not involve folding laundry. I think we have her husband who was either asleep, sedated, knocked on the head, something in some way incapacitated in his chair in that room. We have a fireplace burning. We have kerosene lamps burning to give the most chance of causing ignition. And then gasoline is poured on his body while he's in the chair. She then leaves, and as she is leaving the house, it explodes. It goes up. She drops the can.
Sir, as a fire scene investigator, are you familiar with something called the scientific method?
Runs to the van.
What is that, please?
To go get
Scientific
help.
method is a basic the basic method that investigation should occur. More of a not the nuts and bolts, but more of the mental process of doing an investigation.
Fair to say it's the process by which you arrive at your ultimate opinion in a case?
Yes.
And when conducting a fire scene investigation, are there two different conclusions that you must determine?
Yes.
What are those?
The first thing I must determine is the origin of the fire, where the fire starts, and then try to determine the cause or why it started.
Now, with respect to the scientific method, did you follow it in this case?
Yes.
And do you recall what the steps of the scientific method are?
The first two steps are determine a need or define a product, determine a need and find the problem, which is, we almost skip over those because it's always the same two things. There's a fire, and the action that needs to be taken is to determine the origin and cause. Next step is to collect data. And data can be anything from observable patterns, witness interviews, lab samples, all the data. The next step is analyze the data. The data that I've collected, observed, I look at it and try to determine what that means. The next step is to develop a hypothesis, a theory. I'm going to develop as many theories that I can initially. All the theory for what I'm doing. If I'm doing the origin, I'm going to develop theories or hypotheses of all the areas where the fire could have started.
What about a hypothelictica?
Then, once I've developed these hypotheses, I'm going to test these hypotheses or theories. And I'm going to use the data. The data I've collected, I'm going to take all the data and see if that data fits in to these theories or hypotheses. And as I go through there, if there is data that doesn't fit a certain hypothesis, then either the data is wrong, or if the data is right, the
hypothesis is
that hypothesis cannot be right. If all the data cannot fit in to that hypothesis. And then at the very end, I take that last hypothesis, that becomes my final hypothesis, and again, I take all the data that's known, look at that hypothesis, and come to the final conclusion.
So with respect to what we've discussed here in court so far, you've gone through the first couple steps because you showed up to a fire scene, correct?
Correct.
As far as data collection, is that what we've also talked about here in court?
Yes.
And that would be your photographs, your scene examinations. Does that include your samples you may or may not have taken from a fire scene? Is that fair?
Yes.
Does that include witness statements as well?
Witness statements are very important.
And does that also include lab reports?
Lab reports are very important.
And in this specific case, did you recall receiving any laboratory reports related to the items you seized from Mr. Stermer or those you collected at the Sheriff's Department?
I did.
What was that, please?
The lab report, and I'm doing this without looking at the lab report myself. So the gray sweatpants that I collected on the 7th indicated positive for gasoline. The gasoline can that I collected tested positive for gasoline. The items that were packaged in the metal paint cans that came from autopsy, which included the left and right socks, the underwear, and a shirt, all tested positive for gasoline. Other items that were collected that I packaged myself in the Sheriff's Department evidence lab would have been the clothes from Linda Stermer, blue and a blue blanket, a white blanket, and there may be another item that I packaged. Those items did not show the presence of ignitable liquid.
If Mr. Ernst has already testified here in court about his findings, we would rely upon those exact findings. Is that fair?
Yes.
But you specifically recall the sweatpants, socks, and underwear of Mr. Stermer being positive for gasoline.
And the shirt.
And in addition to that, we talked about witness statements. Is that correct?
Correct.
Were you made aware, did you have an opportunity to review the statements of Linda Stermer?
I have.
What do you recall those being?
The witness statements from Linda Stermer as relates, and I was specifically looking at as it relates to the fire. They were pretty consistent that she was in the basement doing laundry when she heard Todd Stermer scream. She goes up the stairs and looks into the living room, on the main floor living room. She sees the chair, the recliner chair, on fire, and Todd on fire across the room towards the bedroom with a line of fire between the chair and Todd.
Thank you. Now, I may have gotten a little bit ahead of myself there, so I'm going to take a little step back. Let's talk about the area of origin if we can.
Okay.
Did you develop various hypotheses as far as what the area of origin may have been in the Stermer house?
The pretty standard, when I look at a house fire, the original hypothesis is the whole house. I look at the whole house as the fire starts here, and then through a process of elimination, I start examining each area and then decide if this is or if there's or is not the area of origin. Often when you start out, it's pretty easy as you start. That's the key word. When you start, it's pretty easy to look at a room where there's no fire damage and say, fire didn't start here, so you cross it off and you start moving closer. And typically you're moving from the least fire damage to the most fire damage, with the most fire damage typically being where the fire starts.
So for instance, in this particular case, do you recall what your hypotheses were as far as the area of origin?
So the hypotheses for the area of origin, I broke down as east side of the structure, the south side of the structure, the basement, the living room, and the north side, which is going to be the kitchen dining room area.
All right, if we can work through those. Are those depicted in the photographs you have there in front of you?
Yes.
And if you can, let's start with the south side of the home. I think that was one of your hypotheses. Is that correct?
That is one, yes.
What photograph would be a good representation of that? Well, actually, strike that. Let me strike that. I apologize. Where would you have started?
I would have started at the front.
Let's go with that. What photograph would be best to start there then?
The front is 9. And we will probably go between 9 and 13.
All right, looking at 34-9. This is the front of the house, correct?
Correct.
What about, what considerations are you looking for in this photograph?
So in this photograph, I'm trying to look at fire spread. What did the fire do on this side or this exterior wall? So I look at the door, I look at the 2 windows. There's some minor sooting above the windows, but there's really no fire damage of significance to talk about. So that's telling me the fire didn't come out those windows. And if the fire would have started there, I would have expected that the fire to start to the east side. Now, as I'm doing this, also the thought process is comparative. So I'm going to compare the east room to the west room. Which one has worse fire damage?
Prodigy there.
And because that changes scene to scene depending on the size and intensity of the fire. So for this case, that little bit of smoke coming out of that, it's going to be the left or south window, is pretty minor compared to the rest of the structure. Now, if we can skip to picture 13. So this is the aerial. At the bottom of the photograph, you can see a small roof, which is the roof over the porch. And you can see it's still there. It's not burned. But more importantly, if you look just beyond the porch, you can see a wall section and a window. And again, there's no fire damage or no fire coming out of that window. So that's telling me, compared to the rest of the house, there isn't as much fire damage. Now, in a situation like this, it's very important to distinguish between fire damage and collapse damage. So we're going to see a lot of collapse damage. The roof's collapsed, the floor's collapsed, but collapse damage is different than fire damage. So the fire is going to start, and that's going to cause the collapse. But you can see in this photo, the window where the wall is, it's a large section. It's collapsed, but it's still there. It's not burned. It's not burned away. We look directly to the right, which is going to be the northeast corner of the house. We can also see large sections, and underneath the snow is actually sections of the roof. The roof is collapsed in. So there's still a lot of unburned material there. I also looked in those windows and those holes. I told you I really couldn't get in to the east side, but I did stick my head in and take photographs inside, like those holes that the fire department cut. I stuck my head in there, looked, and determined the fire damage there was drastically less than the west side of the house. So with that, I was able to eliminate we're going to call the the northeast quadrant as the area of origin.
Now, and shame on me for failing to ask this, is there like a process by which a fire kind of progresses and spreads?
Yes, but that's a easy question that can lead to many complicated answers. Fire spread can be determined by fuel source, by ventilation, by location. So that's like a simplistic question where that can be very complicated as information comes forward.
Is there a way that a fire consumes a piece of fuel? For instance, if strike that. We'll get to that later. With respect to collapse damage, you talked about that. What causes collapse damage?
Well, in my line of work, I'm not a structural engineer. So when I see collapse damage, it is a result of the fire. But the collapse is from the fire burning away structural members, floor, the center beam of the rafters. You see a lot of roof collapse because it burns away the peak where the trusses are, and then that makes the roof collapse. Or floor beams. Floor beams will be consumed, and that will make the floor above them collapse.
Thank you. Now,
just fed these
when it
facts
comes
into
to,
grok.
so we just talked about, I think you said the northeast quadrant of the property. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you indicated that you were able to eliminate that as the area of origin?
Correct.
Where is the next place you would have progressed to?
I would have progressed to the south side.
Grok
South
says
side?
she did it.
The south side.
Okay.
So the south side, we can specifically see the roof is still there. It's still up. Let's switch over to photo 10. Don't worry, we'll go back to 13.
Excuse me?
10.
10?
10, sir. Final answer, 10.
Oops, went too far. There we go.
So 10 is the south side of the structure. Again, I'm looking at the windows. There is fire coming out of the windows, more of the first floor than the basement. If you look at the basement windows, there is not even sooting on those windows. You look to the first floor windows, you can see there is some smoke, some light fire that melted the vinyl siding. And above that is going to be the attic space. And you can see where the fires burned through the attic space. This is telling me there's not a lot of fire in those rooms on the other side of those windows because the fire is not trying to vent out those windows. Vent is a fire department, both a firefighting and a fire investigation term, is where the fire is trying to get more oxygen to burn. You know, the fire, most of us know that a fire needs oxygen to burn. That's how come if you throw a big pile of leaves on top of a campfire, it doesn't really do anything because the leaves have smothered the oxygen away. So now let's go back to 13 again.
This witness is driving this bus.
So 13, we can see the roof is still there. The roof hasn't collapsed. It didn't burn away. The only area is on the west side of the center line. Prosecutor Blair, if you could just zoom the area where that small burn area.
In this area here?
That area right there, yes.
Certainly.
Enhance and big in the pixels, please.
Yes. So out of that roof section, this is the area of this section that is burned away. So I've noticed that this section is directly across from the living room.
Crossed is not a word.
Versus the section on the other, and the center is the ridge line. The section to the south, or excuse me, to the east or to the bottom of the photograph, that is on the other side of the ridge line. That is significant because when fire gets into an attic space, regardless where, it's going to go to the peak. If you start a fire anywhere in the attic space, it's going to hit the roof section, it's going to hit the roof deck, and it's going to go up to the peak. And as it does that, it's going to start burning there. So we're going to have fire damage from where it enters the attic space going to the peak. So in this case, the fire is entering the attic on the west side of the peak. And you can see right at the very bottom, you can see the outline of the living room fireplace.
That'd be in this area here?
Yes. That's the living room fireplace. That, at this point, that is just for reference purposes.
Thank you.
So that helps me eliminate that. Now, remember the other photo from the inside. We're still talking about the south section. Let's look at photo 22.
Minutes or so.
Judge says
whenever
wrap
you
it
find
up.
a good spot between now and 5 minutes.
This is probably a good spot right now,
Okay.
actually, Your Honor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rather than jump into another photograph.
Okay, thank you.
Look at this
So, Jerry, I'm going to
photograph.
send you home, and the broken record in me is going to tell you your instruction regarding media again. During the trial, do not read, listen to, or watch any news reports about the case. Under the law, the evidence you consider to decide the case must meet certain standards. For example, witnesses must swear to tell the truth, and the lawyers must be able to cross-examine them. Because news reports do not have to meet these standards, they could give you incorrect or misleading information that might unfairly favor one side. So to be fair to both sides, you must follow this instruction as well as all the others I've given you. Okay? Have a good evening, and I'll have you report at 9 o'clock back to the jury room tomorrow.
9 o'clock, so I've got to be early tomorrow. We're gonna let them leave. We'll listen for anything that happens at the end of the day. I know the judge has another thing happening tonight that's not relevant to this case. We're up to 25 made-up words, just added across. I know it's one of those that a lot of people use, but it's not a word. So there's no T. There's no T on the end of across. Tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific. I'm going to be on with Josh Ritter on his channel, Courtroom Confidential. We'll be talking about this case.
Counsel, the jury has left any matters to address between now and the morning?
Sorry?
Any matters to address between now and the morning? And then, counsel, if you could, I have another matter hearing to address, so, yep, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. That's the judge's polite way of getting the...
Go.
Never mind.
Go away. It's a polite way of saying get the out of the courtroom. Yeah. Red Pen says there is no T in else either. Red Pen, you were correct. You are correct. However, I'm not in court, so that one doesn't count. All right. Excited for tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun with Josh. We're going to talk about some fun stuff about this case and what we think about it, where it's going, how they're doing. Maybe a little bit as the background on this. A lot of people are saying, now what happens? I'll finish my theory, Valerie. Thank you for the reminder. My theory is this, if you bear with me just for a little bit. I think she lit the fire. She lit the lamps. Her husband at that time was unconscious. I don't think he was like, oh, I'd really like a fire today. I don't buy that start. I think she lit all the things in the room that should burn and did that to make it the highest chance of having it ignite as it was supposed to. And then she poured gasoline on him while he was incapacitated in some sort, whether there was a frying pan involved or it was just sedation or whatever. In his chair or whatever, she poured the gasoline on him, and then she goes possibly down to the basement to wait for it to ignite, and it ignites before she's ready. So she's still carrying the empty gas can that she's dumped a gallon of gas on the husband. So she then runs from the house, okay, and hears him screaming, jumps in the van to go get help, and as she's leaving, she sees he makes it out of the house. And that was not part of the plan. And so she then has to turn around and run him over because he cannot be alive, right? The plan was for him to not survive this, and then run him over. And that's why we get her starting to go down the driveway, turn around, and run him over. I think the neighbors showed up right as she hit him. It was right then. And what about the red towels? We'll never know because, the evidence is gone. Anyway, hopefully that is enough. Let's see, Jonathan. Yes, I did get your package, by the way. It's sitting here on the desk. It says, I'm kind of a big dill, and it's a massive dill pickle mug. Thank you very much for that, Jonathan. Appreciate that. Thank you. It's huge. It's like a 1 liter mug. Anyway, so I think that's what happened. I think as she left the house, she dropped the gas can. It is a terrible piece of evidence to be sitting there in front of the house when it's clear that all the gas was normally stored in the shed. It's just she dropped it either in her haste, either as he came out of the house. I think she looked back and saw him come out and was just terrified, and that's when she flipped around and ran him over. So it's a mega pint mug. It's huge. Yeah, so we're going to be on tonight talking about this with Josh on Courtroom Confidential. It's going to be great. They're an amazing channel, a great team to work with. All I can tell you is that from a production standpoint, it is like working with a major network television as far as how they run everything, how organized they are, the invites, the follow-up, the presentation, the quality of their product that they put out. Courtroom Confidential is a fantastic channel. I highly recommend you giving it a follow, subscribe, and hang out with them. They follow a whole ton of court cases. So if there's a case out there that's happening that you're interested in, there's a good chance Josh has some material that he's covering on that you'd probably benefit from. And he brings in some great guests and me. So there's that. Are you throwing the mods under the bus? Why did I throw the mods under the bus? What did I do? Mods are amazing. Was the can empty when collected? Nearly. It had a little bit of gasoline in it. There we go. There's the Courtroom Confidential link. 8 to 8:30 tonight. We'll be on discussing this trial there. Oh, they're so... No. This is no shade against our mods. My mods are fantastic. And oftentimes they will plan stuff for me without even talking to me. It's just saying, they sort of read my mind. They're like, well, this is what he was doing yesterday, and he hasn't told us. So in case he goes with plan A, this is what we have. In case he goes with plan B, this is what we have. I'm so bad at communication. And they are fantastic. I owe them everything. You couldn't do this without them. Thank you. Great mods. Hilda B gifted a membership, and it went to Lisa B from one B to another. That is awesome. Amber says it's probably my fault. Of course, Amber, of course. Gas cans have a textured surface, bad for fingerprints. Depends. These are older ones. Depends. We'll see. We'll see if they're able to get something. Probably not. I don't know from the evidence on that. All right. Anything else? Anything else to cover tonight? I don't think. Let me see if they got the Courtroom Confidential thing up tonight. I might be able to link you over to it for our portal before we go. Dismiss. They're really good about getting their thumbnails up early. Yep, they got it. We will portal over to them. So all you have to do is sit here and we'll portal you over to where it's going to go. But it doesn't start till 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. So just be ready for that. All right. Yes, Virginia Little is green. She gave up and took care of it herself. Virginia, thank you very much for your support. All right. Cans on her property could innocently have her fingerprints on it. Yeah, but an empty gas can right outside a big fire, right at the scene of the crime. I'd say it's circumstantial. I plugged all this stuff into Grok. Okay, I'm telling you, I did this. I put all these facts that we have from the case that we've heard, plugged them into Grok, and it says the most likely scenario is that the wife poured the gasoline on or near the husband, ignited it using the burning fire or lamps, and then ran him over with the van, either to ensure his death or as part of the same act of violence. It aligns with the motive, the affair's discovery, the means, the gasoline in the van, and opportunity, the kids were absent. That's what Grok says. So if Grok was a juror, I think he would probably be leaning towards guilty on this one. Is it weird that the can was not burned or melted? No, because it was away from the house. So let's see. I think that's all. I think that's it. I just noticed I'm on Top Chat. I've been missing messages. What? Hilda B, thank you very much for your gifted membership. Virginia Little, welcome to the gallery. Kayla Newell came in with the super chat saying there was an F2 to F4 nader. Casey TC77, oh my goodness, 20 gifted memberships today. Thank you so much, Casey. That was majorly generous. We also had T Suze, will be on with your channel on Court Confidential tonight. OG Boy Mama ×3 says the best 8 months. Bug Dugger comes in with the super chat. Welcome back, Bug Dugger. Angela is here. Welcome to the gallery. Jamie, member for 19 months. So close to a pink courthouse. Alexa Simi is member for 2 months of the jury. Says, do you get hummingbirds? Not yet. I'm sorry I missed that earlier, Alexis. Sorry for missing the message. Midlife Mania says, Ari and family, I'm so sorry for the mess. Do you need a new bag of worms? No, we're good. Only some spilled. And I probably need to go take care of that right now. Peter Ware gifted a membership as well. Thank you very much for all your generosity. Virginia Little gifted a membership. Yay! Thank you. Tonight, when you go home, please hug the people you love, smile at someone, make their day just a little bit better. Please stay safe. We will live again on Courtroom Confidential channel tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Please be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. Just half an hour. Half an hour is all we ask. It's going to be great. We'll see you guys there. Bye-bye.
It's bigger than you. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than all of us.
I think I'm about to catch a whooping.